like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillar. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media. And you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. Share the content. There are so many people who need to get great content like this. And it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about Black women are right. No mandatory paternity test, okay? Yes, I'm going to say it again, y'all. Black women are right. No mandatory paternity test. I know. Interesting concept. And I know some people may be surprised that I even named something with this title on it. But hey, just give me a moment to break it down. But before we go too far into this, let me first of all, give credit where credit is due and thank people who need to be thanked, because they are helping make this such a great place. And, I cannot do things the same way without them. So today, shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Appreciate you big time, my brother. Appreciate you big time. And if you don't already know, Inspired Truth Broadcast has a channel, and he's doing some good work on his channel. So I would also suggest that you subscribe to him. Okay. Doesn't make sense to have these great content creators around and you don't subscribe to them. So I would also recommend you subscribe to his channel as well. But shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast for being the sponsor of today's stream. Appreciate you big time, brother. Appreciate you big time. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for all that you do. All right. And let me also give some shout outs to some people in the chat, and y'all know how it goes when we get started. If you're not new here, you know how it goes. Over here at the Roger Report Live, y'all, y'all know there can only be one. Okay, and I got to say shout out to my main man, Tunnel Runner. He just says trying to be number one. No, Tunnel Runner, you ain't trying to be number one. You are number one. So shout out to Tunnel Runner for being the Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you, brother. He ain't just trying, he is, okay? And I appreciate you being there, my brother. I appreciate you being there. Real talk, okay? So shout out to you. Shout out to President 48th United States. He's also in the building. Good to see you. Good to see you. The righteous teacher is here. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. We got J Dub representing the pit crew. The deputy on the grill is in the building. The sponsor of today's stream, my main man, Inspired Truth Broadcast, is here. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Mr. Me Too is in the building. Great to have you. Great to have you. Music Man 1982 is on deck. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Boot Camp just pulled up to the cool table. Great to see you as well. My main man, y'all know how it goes. I'm gonna say the smoothest brother around these parts. The smoothest brother around these parts that help keep everything in order. Chef Mike Roundtable is in the building. Of course, always glad to have you. Always glad to have you. We got Afro Merchant here. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Okay. We got Sarah B. Hey, Sarah. Glad to see you. Glad to see you, Sarah. We about to get started, y'all. Okay. And yes, black women are right. No mandatory paternity test, y'all. Now, I know y'all may be thinking, black women are right. What you talking about? What you talking about? Well, y'all know even a clock can be right twice a day. Okay. All right. Maybe the younger people don't know that. Maybe if you're too young, you don't get it. It might get lost in the translation if you're too young. But if you're old enough, okay, if you're old enough, you know, because I don't know what they're doing at these schools. Some of these young folks be surprising me with what they don't know, you know. So maybe they don't know. So make sure your kid know how to tell time, y'all. Not just digitally. Make sure your child knows how to tell time, or they won't get certain stuff. Okay, so yes, even a clock can be right twice a day. Matter of fact, the clock, as long as that clock still got some numbers on it, and the hands are working, it will be right twice a day. You ain't got to worry about it. It's gonna be right twice a day. Now, does the clock really control how it's right? Not really. It's not a working clock. Okay. Does it understand the context on how it's right? Of course not. It's a clock. Okay. You know what? Black women can be right sometime too. They may not understand how they right. They may have no actual understanding of the context of their right, or they may not get it. I'm gonna say that. I ain't gonna say people don't understand. Y'all, we got to get away from saying people don't understand, because a lot of folks do be understanding, but I don't think they get it on how they right. I'll say that. Okay. But even black women can be right. You know, maybe twice a day, possibly. Every blue moon, something, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's twice a year, or maybe it's twice a month. I don't know, but I'm sure eventually she will be right at least twice. Okay. She will be right at least twice eventually. So there's a thing about paternity testing, y'all. Okay. That has come up. You know, I'm doing this because, you know, if y'all aren't new around here, y'all know I had multiple channels and I've done some great content, but there's some stuff I have to do and say something about because I need it on record. Okay. I need it on record. And this is the thing, y'all. I know some people have, you know, said some things because I've lost the channel. Y'all talked amongst yourselves and things like that. But see, understand, you got to look at the right side of everything. If I got to do it over, I'm just going to do it better. See, that's what folks don't get. If I got to do it over, I'm just going to do it better. It is what it is, y'all. So we going to get into it. Why should there be no mandatory paternity test? Now, I understand why men think that's a good idea. I'm not even tripping. I totally understand why men think it's a good idea that we have mandatory paternity tests. Even though I know that might be one of the worst things we ever get if it actually does happen. And I don't think we have to concern ourselves a whole lot with that right now. If you see it the way I see it, I don't think there's a whole lot we got to worry about at this particular moment. Because women have gone crazy when it comes to this type of stuff. All right. We know when women, when it's looked into, we know when it's looked into, guys who are concerned that a woman's trying to pin a baby on them, about 30% of the time, it comes back that the man was absolutely correct. All right? Comes back that the man was absolutely correct. We know that's happening. Okay? Now, the thing is, these are just the men who are, quote unquote, suspicious that the woman has been out there doing all kinds of mess and whatnot. Okay? Those are just the ones who are suspicious. There's other men who, they're none the wiser, as they say. They're none the wiser. Yeah, and I could have put some different clips in, and I'm gonna just tell you the straight up truth, y'all. I actually forgot to put certain clips that I wanted to put in last night, but I put one clip in this morning because it's a very important clip to understand. It was a very important phrase that was in there, y'all. It was a very important phrase. Sometimes stuff can look crazy. Okay, now it was a clip of Superman, okay, from the movie Man of Steel, where the Kryptonians, led by General Zod, they announced to the world that they do exist. Earthlings are not alone in the universe. They were looking for a Kryptonian citizen who would look like them, okay, be able to blend in with them. But that Kryptonian is not one of them. And they're asking for the people of Earth and that Kryptonian to simply turn himself in so he can see his own people, the Kryptonians. And if it ain't done in 24 hours, then Earth will pay some consequences. It wasn't that he was asking as if he looking for permission. Okay. He was letting people know what time it is. Okay. Y'all have one of my citizens. I want that citizen turned in 24 hours. Now, I understand he's chosen to conceal himself, and y'all ain't gonna necessarily know who he is like that. But guess what? You got 24 hours to figure it out. And if you ain't got it figured out, there will be some consequences to pay. Now, he didn't say what the consequences is going to be. He didn't say he was going to take it easy. He didn't say he was going to come at folks hard. It's just, hey, you figure it out. Okay? You figure it out. Now, you have a Kryptonian who was raised to do the right thing according to the people of Earth. Okay? According to that society he was a part of. He didn't grow up a Kryptonian. Okay? He hadn't but recently learned who he really was. And now he went to a church to have a talk. And I guess if you're in that type of position, yeah, maybe you would talk to a minister of some kind. So I guess he found the the minister that was closest by, I guess. I guess he talked to the guy who's a minister who was closest by. And he went to the guy and said, hey, I'm the man they looking for. Okay? Now, I know people can be saying, what the heck did this got to do with paternity test? But give me a moment. Just give me a moment, y'all, because it do got a whole lot to do with paternity tests. So he has a discussion, lets the minister know, hey, I'm the guy they looking for. All right? Now, if there's a chance that I can save the people of Earth by turning myself in, shouldn't I take it? Now, I think the minister posed a great question. What does your gut tell you? Okay. Because I think your gut as some people may refer to it, sometimes that got a whole lot to do with what's going on. I do believe there is a God that exists. I believe in the God Jehovah. And I even think that he talks to us. Sometimes we don't get it like we need to get it. We may call it all types of things, but I think it's spirit talking to spirit. And you may not understand who he is as a person yet, but a spirit can talk to a spirit. Well, I'm sure his spirit can talk to any spirit it wants to, because why wouldn't it be able to? So you get this feeling, or people call it their first thought, or whatever the case is. And you know why your first thought usually right? This is my opinion. The reason I believe your first thought is usually the right thought is because that's spirit talking to spirit. You don't get it as a human being, but spirit to spirit, you know that's the right move to make. So the man say, well, what's your gut telling you? Well, I think the reason that he was right, because spirit can talk to spirit, but you may not understand it. He say, my gut telling me, my gut is telling me that Zod cannot be trusted. This General Zod, he bad news. It's just not gonna work. That's what his gut telling him, man. He said it himself. He can't be trusted. You know what? And that makes sense. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Now, thing is, he said something else as well. And I think this is very much an issue when it comes to paternity testing. He said, I don't think the people of Earth can be trusted either. I think Superman was right on both. Okay. General Zod could not be trusted, and neither could the people of Earth. And I think both of them, when Superman came out as him being who he was, not necessarily didn't have the name Superman yet, but when he came out, he exposed himself to the United States military. He exposed himself. Okay. What happened? The people of Earth clearly showed that they were not to be trusted. Because what did he have to do later? He said, I'm going to turn myself in, but you have to guarantee Lois his freedom. What they say, who you talking about? Who's Lois? Who's this Lois that you speak of? We know not thou who Lois is. They went directly into line. Okay. Now Superman was just like, hey, don't play with me, General. I'm going to cooperate, but come on now. Come on now. So the people of Earth couldn't be trusted. All right. Now, of course, as soon as Superman met General Zod, he also showed he couldn't be trusted either. So you got Superman dealing with Earth who can't be trusted. And now he's dealing with Kryptonians that can't be trusted. Now, is this at all connected to mandatory paternity tests? Absolutely, because Black men are in a position where the government cannot be trusted. Neither can the quote unquote women of the Black community. Neither one can be trusted. We cannot trust the government to do the right thing when it comes to Black men. We can't trust Black women to do the right thing when it comes to Black men. That being the case, should we really go for mandatory DNA testing? Now, you can come to your own conclusion, whatever you think is best, y'all. Now, I don't trust the Black woman who says, generally a Black woman who says, this your baby. I don't think Black men should generally trust that. I'm not making it personal to me. Now, when it comes to me, the thing is, I would believe her, but we still getting the test. Okay? If she say that's my baby, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna believe her, but I'm still getting the baby tested. Cause what her mouth got to do with my DNA test? Nothing. Okay, so that's like Superman saying he don't trust the people of Earth. Now, when it comes to the government doing mandatory paternity tests, that's like me trusting General Zod. I don't trust the government either. So now, for me, that puts me in a situation where I say neither side can be trusted. Now, these are epic things, which is why the clip from the man still makes sense. A lot of epic things could happen if he doesn't cooperate from either side. The people of Earth may immediately get into a war with some aliens. Now, I don't think the people of Earth gonna have a real chance at winning. I don't. They too advanced, y'all. They too advanced. Okay. All right. Now, shout out to White Skinner Man Cave. He says, Roger, can I hire my own tester? Well, honestly, White Skinner Man Cave, I think that's going to be the only legitimate way for you to really know what's going on. Okay. The only legitimate way for you to really know what's going on, you're going to have to take your baby and get your baby tested on your own. I don't think it should be included with government responsibility, because this is the thing, y'all. Once this is turned over to the government, what can you do about the results? Now, we're talking about a government that enslaved black men in the past. Okay? Same government. Now I know people say, well, slavery started in like 1619. They started doing the slavery thing. Well, America been through a couple of transitions, but the very government that we have today that was established in 1776, when we established America as a country in 1776, even though things were going on and stuff was changing, we changed the name of what we was and all that type of stuff, but we established this version in 1776. And this version still had us as slaves. Okay? That's just the reality of the situation. This version still had us as slaves. And because this version still had us as slaves, you need to understand who you're dealing with. When it comes down to it, they don't care what you think. They don't care how you feel. They're anti-you as a black man. You cannot solve that. Okay? We only control what we control. You cannot control the government's position on black men. Okay? Point blank, period. Now, you can be a politician and you can try to have some influence to help black men. That would help a lot if you can do it. If you can win an election so you can have some good influence on what's going on with black men, I welcome you to do so, because that can help. But at this particular point, we don't control what the government does. We just don't. And that's just something we got to accept so we can make sure we make the best decisions with that knowledge. Now, at the end of the day, what does this mean for paternity testing? Okay, now some of y'all gonna say, well, I can't trust the women. And the women have given you plenty of good reasons to not trust them. Let's just keep that real. Let's just get that out the way. For the people who say, well, you know what? If you ask a woman for a paternity test, you're suggesting that you can't trust her. Well, a lot of y'all have proven you can't be trusted. So we just gonna get that out the way, and we ain't gonna even worry about that. Okay? If you're trying to make it seem like we're saying women can't be trusted, you can believe that if you want to, but the truth is women have told us they cannot be trusted based on results. It's that simple at the end of the day. This is not about what you feel about some woman personally. You have to do what's right for a community if you want to belong to a community. It's that simple at the end of the day. Okay? It's that simple at the end of the day. This is not about you personally and if the woman you're dealing with personally can be trusted. This is about what needs to happen. What needs to happen is every black man should get his newborn children tested before he signs a birth certificate. Now, this is the thing. We don't need no law for that. We don't need anything to change for that. What we actually need is for black men to spread this concept around. We don't need stuff changed for us to do what we need to do that's good for black men as a whole. Okay? We don't need anything to change. Right now, you cannot pin the baby on me if I don't sign that birth certificate. You can claim the baby mine, but when you make the claim that the baby's mine, you know what's gonna happen? They still got to do a test. Unless a man just say, "No, it's my baby," they're gonna have to do that test. Now I know, well, that's how it is generally. I do understand there have been situations where men have been falsely put as a child's father. Okay. What the thing about that is, as men, you just don't give women certain information. If you're not married to the woman, there's just certain information she can't have. And look, I'm not saying y'all got to stir up a lot of stuff with kids that's already here. But a newborn got to be tested by the father. All right. Now I know men have to say, well, in certain states, they're going to say that you can't get your baby tested without the woman. Well, guess what, y'all? You're going to have to just simply tell the woman the baby getting tested. And again, this should not be something that's brought around at the time of a pregnancy. This is what men need to start telling. We as black men need to start telling the women that we're dealing with, this is just one of the things to be in a relationship with me. When you are, quote unquote, forming a relationship with a woman, this should be on the table as one of the things that this will come later if it gets to that point. Now, I do not recommend you having a baby with a woman you're not married to. If you don't trust her like that, why have a baby by? Not a lot of good reason to have a baby by a woman that you don't trust enough to marry. It just ain't. And the thing is, even if you are married, if she come up pregnant, baby's got to get tested. It's as simple as that, y'all. Now, there's a lot of things out there that have gone on. I actually just listened to a couple of videos this morning where, I literally heard a woman call in and confess that she was messing with a man before she got married, and she ended up getting pregnant by the man who she was messing with before she got married. She never told the now husband about the guy, and it turned out that the guy she was messing with before she got married happens to be a cousin of the husband. Now, the way she put it out there was like she didn't know. Now, maybe she didn't know. I mean, it's a woman, so, women can lie in a lot of situations. So I'm not going to say she knew. I'm just going to say I wouldn't believe her. You having sex with my cousin, and then we get married, but you didn't know that was my cousin? Come on now. I told you I don't really believe in coincidence like that. I know a coincidence can occur. But that's just too much for me to buy. That you was having sex with some random guy, and that random guy that you had sex with happens to be my cousin. Come on now. I don't believe. I'm just gonna keep it real. I don't believe her. She's probably said that because she called into a show. Okay. She called into a show. She want to make herself look better. She don't want to say, yeah, I know I'm a hoe, but I'm an extraordinary hoe because I was out here getting banged out by my now husband's cousin. And you know what? It's bad enough that I'm finna admit that I was cheating on my husband. I'm not finna add the fact that I knew he was related to this particular guy and I let him bang me out anyway. Because I told y'all before, black women care about their image more than anything else. Okay, they care about their image more than anything else. So it just is what it is on that note. All right. So no, I don't believe him. But the thing is, should mandatory tests be done? I still got to say no. Okay. Why? Because I don't trust a black woman to tell me who my child is. Number one, let's get that out the way. In general. Okay, I'm not saying the one you specifically dealing with. Don't think about it in those terms. Don't make it personal. Okay, if I'm having a baby by a black woman, from a personal level, I would believe her. But from a general level, I don't believe black women when they say that this is your baby. But I also don't believe the government. Okay? And the last thing I need is the government to tell me that this is my baby. And now I don't have any recourse because I already gave the government permission to make that determination. So once the government makes that determination, then how do I, quote unquote, do anything about it? So for the betterment of the community, I don't need mandatory testing. Plus, and I'm gonna say this last thing, and then I'm gonna give it over to the guests. Y'all, there are certain things that other communities are dumb enough to repeat that Black people do sometimes. Now, I told y'all it's two major subsections of the Black community. Okay. You have men who are respectable, productive, functional, that believe in Black men's leadership. And you also have a dysfunctional, anti-family, single mother community. And there are people who've copied that dysfunctional, anti-family, single mother community. And they starting to mess themselves up. The last thing I need done is to make a policy that stops them from messing themselves up. Let them continue to mess themselves up while Black men go around telling each other, hey, this is what we're doing as a community, so we don't get caught up in the dumb stuff that everybody else is copying. That's what we're supposed to do, because we're supposed to be better than other people. And why not take this as a great opportunity to just simply be better at a different level? Okay, we're supposed to be better. So get comfortable being in front, y'all. That's what I'm gonna need Black men to do, y'all. We're gonna need y'all to be, number one, get to the front and then be comfortable being in the front. Let everybody else mess their stuff up and let's get our stuff together. But at this point, let me turn it over to my main man. Kent is a white band. B-A-N, y'all. So I'm wondering what that B-A-N means. Go ahead, my brother.
Bitch ass nigga.
Ah.
So, but Roger, before I begin my opening, I need, because I'm missing the understanding, because in the link it says Kent at the church. So I don't. How does this kind of tie into the topic?
No. If you watch the clip,
yeah, I watched it.
Okay, what he said, when it comes to the topic, is the Black man is Superman. We cannot trust. The gut feeling is I don't trust Zod, and I'm gonna say you can look at Zod as the government.
Okay.
Nor do I trust the people of Earth, and you can look at that as the army that was right there, but they were the people of Earth. So I think Black men are in the exact position. We can't trust the government, nor can we trust Black women.
Okay. Well, no. Well, I think Superman. He's not a real one. Now, Brightburn, he was a real one. Because if y'all remember that, everybody got to smoke. His daddy, his mama, the cops, the community. And I think Black men need to be like Brightburn, not like Kent. Because as I said before, Kent is a white man. Now, when it comes to paternity testing, I know the feeling about it. But however it needs to be done, however we want to be executed, I think we need to agree that it must be done. Whether it's a cultural norm, something that we do as a community, whether it's enforced by the government, I'm not going to debate the delivery, but it definitely is definitely needed. In Jamaica, 80% of these people who get tested find out they're raising kids who are not theirs. In Africa, in Kenya, is 70%. In Black America, we don't even really know, right? We just know that in the UK and in the US, it's about 30%, but we don't know for us. And if we're looking at our counterparts, Nigeria, high over 50%, Kenya over 50% at a 70% clip, Jamaica over 50%, 80% clip. So just kind of looking at that, it can we can take a educated guess that it's more than 3 out of 10 Black men that up here breaking their neck for a kid that's not theirs. So it must be done.
Now, see, my thing is this: if you want to do that as a black man, and you want to put your time, money, energy into somebody else's child, I ain't tripping. That is your time, is your money, your energy.
No, but
That's
it's
you.
but these. I mean, they're doing it thinking that they're
No, no,
like
no.
a
I
fraternity.
get that. I get that. But
Okay.
I'm saying a person who wants to do that as a black man, I'm going to respect your decision to do that. Okay, point blank, period. Yeah, I know. Cause people say a lot of stuff about a man who do this and man who do that. I'm going to respect you as a black man to do what you want to do. Now, at the end of the day, though, when it comes to a child being yours, you're going to make different decisions based on a child being yours versus a child that is not yours.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need to know, is this one mine or not? Okay? Because you're going to make different decisions based on if it's yours or not. So at the end of the day, do you need to know if this is your child or not? Yes, you absolutely need to know if this is your child or not.
I think it's a human right. I mean, that's crazy that we have to even say that it's a human right to know if the kid is yours.
So and this is the thing, y'all. I know black men are generally just good men overall, but you don't treat the kid down the street the exact way you treat your own child. Let's just keep it real. If the kid down the street, you know what I'm saying, maybe you live in the middle of the block, that guy lives at the last house on the corner. You're not going to treat that kid the exact same way you treat your kid in every scenario. Now, there may be some scenarios where you treat them the same. If you let that little kid come over for dinner, you know what I'm saying, because they play with your son all the time, cool. You feed them just like you feed your own. Yeah, cool. Ain't not a big deal. You ain't paying for that kid to go to college, though. That's not likely to happen. You'll pay for your son to go to college, but you ain't gonna necessarily pay for your neighbor's son to go to college.
Right.
There's gonna be differences.
But I mean, like there's rights, right? There's just inalienable rights, right? A man has a right to know who his biological child is and who is not his biological child. I mean, that's just a right. I mean, regardless of what we do and what we won't do. I mean, that is just a right given by God that we should know that, just like they know undoubtedly that the kid is theirs, right? And it's crazy that we have to go to these lengths just to exercise our rights as human beings. And that goes to show you, even at a deeper level, on how comfortable women are to take away the rights of men in service to their worship.
Hey, I mean, unfortunately, you have to fight for every right you got, y'all. And this is just another example of you needing to fight for your right to do something. Okay, it shouldn't be the case, but it is the case. Now, again, my thing is the reason I'm saying something about the neighbor's kid, because you inherently do more for your own than you're gonna do for the neighbor's kid. So if you're raising a child that you believe is yours, that is not truly yours, it's like you're doing the same thing for the neighbor's kid that you know good and well you wouldn't be doing. So you're tricked into doing for the neighbor's kid at the level that you would do for your own child. I'm not going to say it's bad to help some kid out there per se, if that's what you really, really want to do, and you weigh the options of dealing with all that, and you say, well, I'm going to do it anyway. Hey, at least you know what you're signing up for. But you don't trick nobody into paying for the neighbor's kid to go to college.
Honestly, Roger, I would happily pay for the neighbor's kid to go, because at the end of the day, the neighbor kid didn't screw me over, right? Because I know that's the neighbor's kid, right? You go come at me at 18 and be like, oh, this was Pookie Raw or Dirty D Rodney's kid, right? I don't want to pay for nothing. I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to eat. I want, the kid down the street. I'm definitely going to help more than this one.
I mean, I totally understand.
Down the street, he ain't do nothing to me. His parents ain't do nothing to me, nothing, right? But this woman up here giving me, Pookie XL kid and telling me it's mine.
Well, and that's where it becomes extremely problematic. Point blank period. That's where it becomes extremely problematic. So now this is the thing, y'all. We live in this society where other people already get inherent advantages over us as black men. So I'm saying, as black men, I don't need the government to tell everybody to get their child tested. Let these other people be messed up. But we take an advantage of saying, hey, we don't need the government mandate. I'll just simply take my children and get tested. And again, y'all, my thing is, this is something black women should be informed of, or any woman you deal with should be informed of when you form a relationship. Think about it, y'all. If you're talking to a woman and y'all considering being with each other, and you tell her, hey, just so you know, if it ever comes up down the road, anytime a woman gets pregnant and claim that I'm the father, that child is going to be tested. Now, I understand there will be an initial shock by the average woman because that's something they're not used to hearing. So I'm going to let that go about the initial shock. I get it. You're going to initially be shocked. And you might say something super stupid to me like, well, what if we marry? You going to have the kid tested then? Of course I'm going to have the child tested if we marry. Of course. Okay, I got more reason to get the child tested if we marry.
Absolutely.
Now, so this is the thing. Okay, it's going to be shocking at this particular point. So I'm going to let her have that. But I'm going to tell her, yeah, even if we're married, I'm still going to get the kid tested. It is what it is. Now, if she makes a big fight about this, where she just don't, quote unquote, want to accept being with a guy who's going to do that, did she not tell you everything you needed to know?
Well, I think she should be more shocked that you married her broke ass.
I'm saying it's still the beginning, but you're telling her, even if you get married down the road, that you're gonna get this child tested. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, at that beginning stage, before stuff is truly established, I understand she will be shocked, so she's gonna put up some kind of resistance. But after 5-10 minutes, y'all, if she's putting up a resistance beyond that point, ain't she telling you everything you need to know? Because if you're going to continue to fight me over this issue, that means you have a plan that this may be an issue.
Well, no, was she telling you, Roger, that she already doing it? That's what she's telling you, right? She's telling you she got a baby on the low, and
I'm already pregnant.
Right? Yeah, she's telling you if she already got a baby on the low, right? Telling one dude is his, but it really is, Jado's kid or something, right? That's what she's saying.
Well, yeah, my thing is, I mean, you do make a point. Because this is the thing, a woman could already be pregnant who's doing this. She also could have been through the situation beforehand where stuff got a little out of control. Now, maybe she went to the chop shop and got rid of the baby, but this may be a situation that she's already dealt with before. Or her whole thing is she's with the sisterhood and she believes that the sisterhood should always be able to pin a baby on whoever they want to pin a baby on and have no regard for who the child's father is. But the thing is, however she's expressing it, she's telling you everything you need to know.
Well, this is how I would rate it. Tell her the first time, she looking at you crazy, asking you question. All right, cool. She's with the sisterhood. 5 minutes later, still talking about it. That means she went to the chop shop, right? Because both dudes weren't ish, right? So she had to go to the chop shop because the dude she got pregnant by and the dude she was messing with both wasn't dealing with it, and she wants to have her career. 15 minutes in, single mom, and that dude probably ain't the kid. Hour in, she did it twice.
Now my thing is, I'm not. All I know is if it's too big of an issue, because keep in mind, she's now arguing about the position of a child that doesn't exist. Right. I'm simply informing her as somebody I may take seriously in a relationship that at some point down the road, if she ever were to become pregnant, I'm gonna have the child tested. If you put up too much of a fight about a child that does not exist, I know you with the shenanigans, as they would say.
Yeah.
You with the shenanigans.
Yeah,
Point blank, period. You know, you're gonna be a terrible situation for me to have unfold if I go through with this relationship.
Yeah, because
Point blank, period.
if y'all talking about it an hour in, one, you know she's a single mom, and she just didn't tell you yet, right? One, she's a single mom for sure, and she didn't tell you that. And you know, most likely she has done it once, but she probably done it twice. If you're talking about this an hour later, especially on like a first or second date, because normally if she doesn't, because even if she doesn't agree with that, she'll just be like, all right, whatever, but then she'll just like not date you again, right? But if she's like driving it home like a long conversation, and she's a single mom, and she ain't tell you yet.
All right. Now, I'm not going to confirm nor deny his theories about timing. Either could be true. Maybe that's correct. Maybe it's not correct. Regardless, I think enough information has been gathered at that point to make a good decision about what you need to do. But what he's saying is making some level of sense. Even though I know he be joking a lot, it still makes some level of sense.
No. I'm very. If a woman's gonna argue with you about this an hour after you told her, she is for sure a single mom.
Well, and I'm saying, whether that's absolutely true or not, you got enough information at that point. Because why are we arguing about a baby that don't exist, about a pregnancy that never happened?
Exactly. That happened. That's why it happened.
Now I would say shout out to Name Not Dot. He asked a question, and then we got my main man Shark who asked a question as well. So I'm gonna look at both of these questions. He said, now Name Not Dot says, what about signing the birth certificate? And Shark Sim says, I have a question. Can a female deny paternity test if you ask her for one? Now, This is the thing, y'all. This is the thing. The rule is, and you got to do it for the community. I know you may love your woman, you may trust your woman, but you need to do this as a responsibility of men of the community. Unless you're going to be part of the dysfunctional, anti-family, single mother community, you ain't got to do nothing if you're part of that community. But if you're going to be part of our community, you got to have the child tested because it's the right thing to do for us as community members. Because we're going to respond a certain way to your child. See, you have friends that's going to act a different way because they know that's my friend's son. That's my friend's daughter. So you're not just putting yourself on the line about stuff. You're not just putting other people on the hook about stuff. You're putting other folks who really rock with you on the hook about stuff. I just got a call over the weekend. I got a goddaughter that was being dropped off somewhere. Okay. One of my closer friends, so of course I'm a godfather. One of my closest friends that I've known for decades. He said, well, we dropping our baby off in Chicago. Baby gonna be there for a small period of time. We giving her your phone number. She's still young, y'all. She's still kind of young. So we giving her your phone number. We want you to have her phone number. If she feel uncomfortable in any kind of way, her instructions is to call you and you just go get her. Now I'm the goddaddy, so of course I got to be like, yeah, okay, cool. It is what it is. And of course I'm gonna do that for my friend. So I'm on the hook because he knows that's his child. He not having me do this for some baby that ain't his kid. You see what I'm saying? Now, what if you think the child is yours? Well, you could be asking your friend to do all kinds of inconvenient stuff or stuff that he got to really weigh. And then technically he's doing it for a baby that ain't even yours. So he's not really even doing it for his homie. He's doing it for some guy he's never met, which don't make no lick of sense at the end of the day. Because as friends, we do take on certain responsibility when it comes to other people's children. We do that as friends. That's how our community is supposed to work. I ain't supposed to be doing it for some random dude's kid that I ain't never met. It is what it is on that. I don't want to do all that for just random people's kids. My goddaughter, cool. Okay, so me and him been rocking for decades. Okay.
I have a question, Roger. I have a question. Because you made a very good point. So, if he goes and he finds out, God forbid, that Pookie XL got him. Is the kid still your goddaughter?
I mean, I'm not gonna look at the kid the same way. That's under false pretense. I was
No,
supposed to be
but
the
what if
guy.
he's just like, what if he's like, it's cool, I've been raising it for 15 years, whatever. Are you still the godfather? Sorry.
I don't know about that one, bro. Because my thing is, y'all asked me to be the godfather of your child. So I don't know, man. That's I would have to put some thought into that because I don't know if that's cool with me, bro. Because they asked me to be the goddaughter of his child. That was presented to me. You know what I'm saying? And I know some people don't get it, but a godparent is supposed to be a person who's saying that if something happens to the parents, the godparent is supposed to step up and be an actual parent to the child.
Yeah, you'll step in.
Yeah, bro. I don't know if that ain't his kid. I don't know who kid that is. Why would I?
No, but what if? Okay. Let's say you're the friend of the mother, and the mother said, "Okay, me and my husband asked you to be the goddaughter." Later, Pookie XL got her one night, and he comes to you and be like, "You're good friends with them both, right? They're both high school friends." And they both ask you, "Hey, Roger,
wow. Man, I mean, I guess technically, if you friends with the mother, you still could be because you was friends with her. But see, my thing is that's still some betrayal to me going on there because you asked me to be the godparent of these two people's child, and if it turns out it ain't those two people, then I'm getting hustled out here.
Right.
I don't think that would sit right with me. Truth be told, never really had to think about this question got asked. But I just don't see that sitting right with me that I'm out here trying to be a godparent to some stranger's kid, and I was never asked to be a godparent to some stranger's kid.
Well, paternity fraud harms, but paternity fraud, what people need to also understand, paternity fraud harms a lot of people. It harms the father, it harms the godparents, it harms the grandparents. Right? Can you imagine you telling your mom and your dad in their senior years that, hey, this is really not your grandchild after showing them like after 10 years or something like that? Old people can't take that.
I mean, that's gonna be rough. You might send somebody off to the next realm very soon dealing with stuff like
that. It harms a lot of people.
Okay.
And we're not even, and that's even before we talk about the kid, right? That's even before we,
Man,
how do you know what I mean? How do you have that conversation with the kid?
And I'm gonna say, just for example, like, what if my goddaughter called me and it was actually a real problem going on? Now, I don't expect that to be the case, but what if there was an actual problem going on? Mm-hmm. What if they? I'm gonna do this because I ain't gonna say the people watching us bad, but let's say they in the house and the house get robbed. Right. My goddaughter's in the house. Okay, so now the people she got left with have been injured or taken out because of a botched robbery. She in the house with the robbers. She a kid. All she gonna do is call me.
Right.
Now I got to go risk my life for some kid that don't even belong to
I'd be like, look, sweetheart, go on Spotify and look up Erykah Badu. And call that nigga because
what is my thing? If I believe it's my kid, if I believe this is my true goddaughter, I'm looking out for my homie. You know what I'm saying? You're more likely to take a life risk move to go save her. Now, what if I died trying to save a kid that wasn't mine and it wasn't even my homie's kid?
Yeah, I mean that's messed up, man. That'd be well. I mean that's what I'm saying. It's both. You're good friends with her and him, right? Make it a little bit more complicated. You're friends with both him and her. High school friends, childhood friends.
Yeah, but even in that scenario, man, you gotta, and I don't know a couple like, well, high schools is, I guess usually a couples get married, so you know them both. You know what I'm saying? Because I know some folks like that. Yeah, bro, I'm still gonna look at you betrayed me at the end of the day, and this not what I signed up for. I signed up to be a godparent to this woman's child and this man's child. If that is broken in any way, I'm gonna have a problem with it. So I don't know if I'm gonna continue to accept that role It's God, because I got to think about it from a principle mentality, man. This not what I agreed to. Just not.
No, I mean I agree. I agree with you, man. I would say the same. Like, you turn me you turn me from a godparent to a devil parent, right? We can't do that.
I'm
Right?
thinking the ruthless nice guy in me gonna say, you know what? I heard that this ain't my man baby over here. So that godfather I was supposed to be, that's over with. I think I'll just have to tell him that this is what it is.
Or we could just keep it 100%. We can keep it 100% real, bro. You're the godfather, right? Because he is the real father. Tyrone is the father.
But, I mean, he can do whatever he want to do with it. It's his wife, you know what I'm saying, or his woman, or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
she
on y'all.
decided that you the godfather, brother. Like, I'm no longer the godfather.
I mean, you're a grown man. It's your money if you want to keep taking care of that kid. You do what you do. But my role, man, that's dead. That's over with, man.
Call her Uncle Hot Sauce because she in trouble. Yeah. Uncle Hot Sauce is going to give her the number to Tyrone.
That let me say this too, because these questions were asked. Again, y'all, I'm gonna say the other question that was asked. You don't sign no birth certificate until after you get the results of your paternity test. Yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of balls, but you don't sign a birth certificate until after you receive the results of your paternity test. I don't care nothing about the family at the hospital. I don't care what your mama think or anything like that. I will only sign a birth certificate after I get the results of my paternity test proving that this child is mine. I have no reason to sign a birth certificate until then. And I'm definitely not going to voluntarily be on the hook for some kid that ain't mine because I signed the birth certificate knowing that I didn't have proof that that child was mine.
Right.
I'm a grown man. I got to die with my decisions, y'all. And I want y'all to really pick up on this, y'all. One of the best lessons my parents taught me: when you die, okay, if you get to be the old guy, the 98-year-old guy on his deathbed, thinking about what he done did in life, and you ready to let this world go, and you gonna go over these decisions that you made over time. What does the 98-year-old version of you want to say? That's how I'm gonna make my decisions. Okay, if I make it to 98, and I want to go to 120. I want to get all the years out. But I'm just saying, for example, if you make it to 98 and you're on your deathbed, what do you want your decision to be? You got to think about that. Now, Shark Sims asked a question about, if the female deny you a paternity test. Okay, and I think they can technically do that because they know the baby hugs. So they hold on. If they know the baby's hers, and she say you can't take my baby to go get a paternity test, I don't need no test at that point. But you know what else I don't have? A baby.
Yeah, but if you're not sure, she can't. You can get it. She can't deny it because you can get it, the courts to intervene and get it.
No. The thing is, this is not about whether you're sure or not, y'all. This is a community responsibility. This ain't got nothing to do with feelings.
Let me ask you this then, Roger.
Well, hold on, let me just make this clear, y'all. What I'm saying is the rule of black men should the baby getting tested regardless. It's not about do you trust the woman? It's not about how you feel about the woman. It's not about is she your wife or not your wife. None of that matters, man. If we're going to be responsible black men, there's certain things we have to do for the sake of the community. So if you do not get your child tested, you are going against black men as a whole. This ain't about your woman. This is about us.
Right.
Go ahead.
So here's the situation. You tell her in the beginning, hey, this is the deal. She agreed. 5 years go past. Baby comes. She's like, no, you don't do it. What are you going to? Because maybe it is, maybe you don't. What are you going to do?
What am I going to do with some kid that I don't know?
Yeah.
I'm going to treat it like a kid that I don't know.
But what if it's really yours?
How does it matter if we ain't got no test to prove it?
I mean, but what if it's yours? I mean, she's just like, no, but what if it's really yours?
It's not mine if we ain't got no test to prove it.
I don't 100% agree with that. That's not true.
If the kid mine, a test will show that it's mine.
Yeah, but she's not allowing you to get the test.
If the kid's mine, the test will show that it's mine.
I know what you're trying to say, but she's saying no to the doctors.
I don't care what she say to who. If the kid mine, the test gonna show it's mine.
But they're refusing to do the test.
As soon as this test show is mine, I'm gonna act like it's mine.
Okay, all right. So you're just gonna be like, "Fuck that kid" until.
No, that's what she gonna be saying. Not me. I'm not the one saying it. I don't have any problem with any child that's proven to be mine. Why would I have a problem with a kid that's proven to be mine?
Yeah, but that's not the discussion at hand. The discussion is she's preventing you from getting the test.
She's not gonna prevent me from testing my child. She'll prevent me from testing somebody else's child.
That doesn't make sense.
A woman don't want to get caught in the wrong. Okay, so that's just what it is at the end of the day. If she don't want me to take the kid to get tested, that means she knows something that I don't necessarily have privilege to that information. So guess what she got to do? She got to let that kid grow up and start looking like you and be like, okay, it might be his. Because this the ugly side of this, y'all. This the ugly side of this that we ain't going to know as men. If she don't want me to get that kid tested, no matter what I believe, maybe she was sleeping with somebody else. And maybe she needs 5 to 6 years to see what this kid look like when they grow up, son, to see if it's really my husband's or my man's kid or whatever. Maybe she need that time. She ain't going to tell me, look, I'm messing with the dude down the hall in the building that we live in. Y'all could be in the condo building and she can be sleeping with the neighbor who lives down the hall.
Right.
But she can't tell me that.
Right. Right. Because what I'm saying is, right, maybe she got caught up with Pookie Unlimited and she got caught up with you and she's not sure.
Exactly. But, so therefore she gonna block a test. She not gonna block the test of my child. She will block the test of the child that she don't know is mine.
Right. And so what I'm saying is that she's blocking the test because she's unsure. But what if the kid is genetically yours, but you don't know because she won't give a test? How will you handle that?
If the kid not mine, the kid not mine. And every kid that's mine, there will be proof to show that it's mine. That's what I know. I'm not worried about kids that aren't mine. I'm not worried about kids that haven't been tested to prove that they are mine. So that kid go in the same boat as every other random stranger's kid.
So you're saying that if the kid is not tested, they automatically are not yours. That's what you're saying.
If you block me from testing a child, you're blocking me for a reason.
No, but she don't know. Maybe she just doesn't know. It could be yours, right?
Yeah, it could be, but she don't know, which means what? There's a problem. And she don't want me to figure out what
acknowledging that there's a problem.
So she don't want me to figure out whether this kid is mine right here and right now. So that kid must not be mine. What other conclusion am I supposed to come to?
Because it could be yours, it could be someone else's.
If she don't want me to know, that kid must not be mine.
It doesn't work that way, Roger.
No, she ain't sure, bro. She not sure that kid is mine. That's the only reason she don't want me to get that kid tested. She don't know that kid is mine. So because she don't know that kid is mine, I know that kid ain't mine.
Well, no, she doesn't know the kid is yours. Nobody know who the father is of this kid because she's been double dipping, right? So nobody knows until the test comes.
That kid ain't mine unless God is gonna come to me on her behalf and tell me, like, bro, when Jesus was being born and God had to go to Joseph and say, don't worry about it. This how the kid came into fruition. Unless God tell me that this kid is mine. Bro, that's not my kid. All my kids will have proof positive that they tested to be mine. That's it. Yeah, if that has not happened, that is not my child.
I hear you. Okay, so you're making a moral decision then.
I'm making a firm stance. If you ain't got proof that kid is mine, it don't belong to me.
I don't
It
think it
is what
works
it
that way.
is.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Though. I hear
Bro,
you.
I'm not concerned with that. Even from if I want to go from a moral standpoint, then God knows my heart. That's what He judged. What did we do? What was in your heart when you made your decision? And the
I
only
mean, but
thing
that
for
makes
me
the
to
world.
believe, even from a moral standpoint, is the only reason she don't want me to test the kid because she know the kid ain't mine.
No, she's not sure that if the kids are yours or not.
Man, she not sure means the kid ain't mine.
Well, okay, so let's say this. She's not sure. Then the kid starts to look like you're saying that kid ain't mine. Then 5, 6 years old, it starts looking like you. Then she gets the test. Then it says the kid is biologically yours.
She had to
Then,
contact me 5 to 6 years later. Now, how she gonna even know who I am at that point?
okay, but the point is that then the original statement that the kid is not yours would be wrong.
No, the kid wasn't mine until it was proof that it was mine. So before that, it wasn't mine.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I ain't mad at it. That's crazy.
Hey, she can explain to that kid why she put that kid through all that trouble. That's gonna be on her to explain, not me. Now I'm gonna say shout out to Struggling Brother. He said, at my age, Roger, I'm not testing the kids. I'm testing the woman to make sure those eggs are already cooked. That is one way to avoid the fray, y'all. That is one way to avoid the fray. Make sure them eggs been scrambled. Oh. All right. Now, this is the thing, y'all. Okay. As brothers, I want us to get an advantage. Okay. And that's just real talk. I want us to have an advantage. If the government is testing kids and determining what kid belongs to who, I'm pretty sure we're not going to have an advantage. I'm pretty sure there will be brothers who are going to be forced to pay for kids that are not theirs. The government is going to know they're not your kid, and then they're going to say, "Well, this one is yours." Now, you're going to sit there, and this kid going to grow up looking like a whole different person. And mama gonna always make an excuse about why this kid don't look like nobody in the family. Talking about that kid look just like my great uncle Tyrone who died. You just never met him. You know what I'm saying? So what you gonna do then? Because you kind of stuck at that point. And my thing is, I don't want black men to be stuck. It's that simple at the end of the day. So I know the black woman would do me wrong. I'm not saying it from a personal level, y'all. I'm not saying the individual that you're dealing with, the love of your life, your wife, or anything like that. I'm not saying that as a personal level. I'm saying it from a general standpoint. I know the government will hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Point blank period. They've proven that time and time again. So the government will do stuff to me and the black woman would do stuff to me. I'm not saying which one did what. All I'm saying is because I know I can't trust either one, all children who are newborns must be tested. I'm not telling y'all to go test your 19-year-old. You can do that if you want to. I'm saying the newborns, y'all. I'm going to make it clear. The newborns. Okay. Now, let me say this to y'all because the other day I didn't read the super chats but before I came out of the show. So I was supposed to read this, which I didn't read. I don't remember if I read this one or not. No, I read this one. Okay, my bad. I definitely read that one. That was from FLX. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. But Gregory Scotland sent one. He said years ago a woman could get in a customer service. Now he meant customer service job. This is when we was talking about women and what they could do and being on the workforce. And he said that, and I do apologize, I didn't get that in yesterday. Inspired Truth Broadcast, the sponsor of today's stream, also he sent in one for $5 yesterday. Gregory Scotland also sent one for $5 yesterday. And shout out to my main man Tunnel Runner, who sent one in for $5 today. He says Highlander tax, stay strong. Brother, hey, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Matter of fact, he's joined us on the panel now, so he about to get the mic. And shout out to No Placeholder, who just sent in $5 saying supporting black men media, and I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. Now, shout out to Shout out to Kevin 3905. He say Roger habitual line stubborn with the Cash App. Hey, I'm gonna get better at the Cash App thing. What I'm used to is when I got super chats, I take the Cash App. But ain't no super chats till we get this channel monetized. So now it's different for me. But I'm gonna do my best to make sure I don't miss nothing else, y'all. I'm gonna do my best to make sure I don't miss nothing else. I don't want to be disrespecting the people sending the money. That don't make no lick of sense. So I'm definitely not trying to do that. So I'm gonna get it together. But before I get it together, let's get a flow to my main man, Tunnel Roynell. You got it, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, when you're dealing with this government, you need to be protect yourself at all times. So I think I should up the ante and get 2 tests. Not just one, get another test. Just to make sure, because you're dealing with this government, you're dealing with these bird trap, you're dealing with these systems that's trying to put you under. So you should get checked. You check yourself at all times, get it checked again, and if it's not a 99%, check it again. And get a prenup. Do everything you can to protect yourself because you are public enemy number 1. So you got to protect yourself.
I'm not going to say that's a bad idea. That's a pretty good idea. And since you mentioned the percentage, y'all, we do need to be aware that if the test comes back like 92% or something like that, like it's not 99%, understand more than likely she had a baby by a close relative. That's what happens in situations. I done seen enough stuff about paternity testing and I figured it out that, okay, that's the pattern. When it's like 92, 93 or something percent, if it ain't like 99%, a lot of times it'd be a close relative. That means she might have had a baby by your brother. She might have had a baby by your cousin. The baby is in the family. You're matching close because there's some very close people that you come from, that your child comes from. But if it ain't like 99%, it's probably not yours. But the thing is, we got to be aware of that. So, because it could be some guys who have accepted, oh yeah, this baby is 92% that this baby is yours. And we may have accepted that in the past because we didn't know no better. You know, real talk. Shout out to Trey Bentley. He said, your daddy done hit it. Your daddy done hit that wrong. And that could be exactly what the case is. Now, I know he may be saying it as a joke, y'all, but real talk, that could be what the case is. She didn't have sex with a close relative of yours. You know, y'all may have one parent. Okay, you have one parent with that child. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you and that child may share a relative. You know what I'm saying? Because it's your brother's baby. It ain't your baby. You know what I'm saying? But
Roger.
Your brother got the same mom and daddy you got.
Roger.
Go ahead, my brother.
I might get kicked off the panel for saying this, but depending on how good she look, my son might have to forgive me. That's all I'm gonna say. If she throwing that, I ain't gonna ask for the monkey. But if she throwing that monkey and she looking better than my wrinkled ass wife, son gonna have to forgive me.
Now, yeah, you should be shot over that one. I ain't gonna leave it out. Now I'm gonna say this, y'all. Hey, you don't mess with nobody. If you know the man, you don't touch the man's woman without permission. It just is what it is. Or at least, like I told y'all, a concept me and my friends came up when we was in high school. Our whole thing was, if she gonna do it and she pick you out to do it, go on hit it. But you got to tell immediately. You have to tell immediately. That's the whole thing. So I'm not going to vouch for any shady stuff between me and y'all. That's what separates us from the women. You know, we can't do shady stuff to the men.
So just tell afterwards, right?
Well, that was the agreement we made when we was high school kids. But I think it was a fairly... The reason we came up with this agreement was because women will... If you don't touch her, she'll say, he came on to me. But if you hit it and then told, she can't lie her way out the situation because you already hit it at this point.
Well, then that's what I do. Like, because I'll be like 60 plus, my son 20. So I'll just tell him after, like, and I explain, like, son, 60-year-olds don't use condoms like that. So,
and bro, we said that before some shenanigans went down. So unless you gonna tell your son that before something happened, then you ain't quite on the same thing.
No, you just said go ahead and hit it, but tell after, right?
Yeah, but we agreed to that before shenanigans came up. We didn't say we gonna tell.
So I'm just like, son, like 2 things happening. Look, if your girl look good, there's a rule. If she look really good, when you come home, you gotta let me smell your fingers. And number 2, if you throw that monkey back, I'll just tell you afterwards. Because 60 plus, we don't use condoms.
If you tell your son that before you touch, that's a different thing than telling your son after you done touched on him.
Hey, moms do this all the time. Moms be getting slaughtered out by their girlfriends or boyfriends.
I'm not gonna say that ain't true, but women don't seem to have no kind of code like men have. They just don't. You know what I'm saying? Women are known for giving it up to their girl, to their friend who is a girl. They quote unquote girlfriend. They don't sleep with their girlfriend's man. They sleep with their girlfriend's sister. Yeah. They sleep with their girl with their daughter's son-in-law. Women don't seem to like carry that as no code. They act like they do sometimes, but that ain't really a code for them. But for men, it's supposed to be some level of a code that you don't mess with the dude. You don't mess with the same women that your guys are messing with.
I'm not a horrible person now.
I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying, bro, you his dad, so he would have to know that that's part of the deal before you touch on one of them. That's all I'm saying, because I don't want your relationship with your son to be messed up either. So he just needs to know that ahead of time. That's all.
Like, look, man, she was throwing that monkey back, and I did you a favor.
Yeah, but he only gonna understand that if you told him that as he was like growing up or something. Like if you tell him that when he's 16, when you grown, this could come up. I don't want it to happen to you, son, but this may come up, and this is what I'm gonna do, so you will know for sure that chick ain't for you. You know what I'm saying?
Roger. He gonna keep his son's gonna keep his wife away. His son's wife's gonna stay away from him. He ain't gonna even see him. He's gonna say, "Why you don't bring your wife around?" He's like,
no, I'm not like that. I'm just saying. Like, if I'm just gonna say this. Look, if you bring a slut to my house, you gonna end up with a baby brother. That's all I'm gonna say.
Now, my thing is that may be something men need to consider, because at the end of the day, it does let you. It puts the woman in a position where she can't turn nothing around. And that's what women have always tried to do, turn the situation around so the men will fight each other instead of holding her accountable for being the hoe that she is. You know what I'm saying? And so it is a tough call, but I understand it because it works like my friend's agreement. Because our whole thing was, if you don't go through with it, she's gonna change the story. But if you go through it and tell me right away, there's no story to change. So that's what me and my friends was looking at. If I hit it, because she threw that monkey at me, okay, cool, I didn't hit it. But after she go her way and I go my way, I call my guy like, hey, bro, I just hit your girl. She on something, And now he deal with it how you want to deal with it from there. But let's be realistic. That was a plan we came up with, to have a guaranteed breakup of somebody who's a hoe. Because she pulling out whole stuff and she doing whole things. But if you don't touch her, she gonna say that's not how it was. He must have misread the situation. Maybe he thought that's what I meant, but it did. Or what women normally do. No, he came on to me. And that's when she gets off the hook. Because you got guys fighting over a chick that ain't good for neither one of them. So everybody missed the boat. So our thing was just, we not gonna miss the boat. Go on, hit it, but you gotta tell it right away. You gotta tell right away. So it is what it is. And what's the chances of, and now keep in mind, we high school kids. I don't think we even had cell phones. No, we didn't have no cell phones back then. That was like cell phone was just getting popular. So at the end of the day, it wasn't like a school with a bunch, everybody got a cell phone. That wasn't popping off back then like that, because we were just getting around to that version of technology where it could be spread out like that. So You come the next day to school, you tell your homie, what's the chance of her calling him and saying, hey, this what happened between me and your friend? She ain't finna do that. So we know she lying when she bring it up. We already gonna know what the deal is. You know what I'm saying? So if she even come try to tell me, look, my man already told me he hit. It is what it is. I understand me and my man is under agreement. So there's no reason for me to be upset with him. We already got an agreement. And the rule was go and smash. So we know it's over with at that point. And that was strictly to end a relationship. So now I'm just going to say, if you do it from a dad's position, y'all better make sure everything's clearly understood, because don't ruin a relationship with your son over no hope. That's all I'm saying. Let's not ruin relationships with our sons over hope.
Of course I'm kidding. I would never do nothing like that.
No, I'm not. I mean, there's men who have, but I'm saying, even if men are going to do that, though, they should have something established with a son. So
I think that's crossing the line. Even if she's a hoe, you still you missed the boat. You need to miss the boat. That's your son. You need to miss the boat.
Well, I don't see myself doing it to my son. That's for sure. You
need to miss the boat. Shit.
Yeah. Now, as a father, I'm gonna tell my son that he hit me with the I love my baby mother. I never let her go. If he hit me with that, I know ain't nothing I can do. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is at that point. Ain't nothing I can do. So, I'm gonna try as a dad to make sure he good. But they gotta listen at the end of the day. But what I'm saying, y'all, I just don't think the government should be involved, because black men can't trust the women, nor can we trust the government. And if we give that over to the government, once, all right, let's just imagine a future where paternity tests exist. Okay, the government is handling paternity tests. The government has to pick: do they want you to pay for the child, or do they want to pay for the child? And that's the unfortunate situation that you're going to be in when the government has to say if the paternity belongs to this particular parent. So they done tested the kid, they done got your DNA and the kid's DNA, right? You know what I'm saying? Plus, this is setting up for the government to have everybody's DNA from Jump Street. It's other, unseen consequences that have come up from it. So now the government got a whole register of every person's DNA. And how that's going to help you later on down the road, I do not know. I know how it can hurt you later on down the road, but I definitely don't know how it's going to help you later on down the road. So now we getting everybody our DNA, like we ain't gave the government enough. All right. So now the government say, what is your baby? Because we done tested this kid. The kid done came out 0% chance of it being yours. Now, either we as the government could accept responsibility for this child from a financial standpoint, or we can say, you can take responsibility of this child from a financial standpoint. What is the government employee going to do? Now, keep in mind, they ain't going to tell us, but it's going to be bonuses to make sure every nigga baby got a daddy. Now, they'll probably let one slide through here and there and say, yeah, we caught one. You know what I'm saying? They might say it's only maybe 5% of children, 5% of these nigga babies, because we talking about the United States government. So 5% of these nigga babies, we don't know who they belong to, because they ain't going to make it like it's 100% good. Now, why is it going to immediately drop down to 5%? Because they just not going to tell us the truth. So now they done gave you the baby, done told you this baby is biologically your baby. Now this kid going to start growing up, and you can let some stuff slide because the kid is young, but after 3, 4, 5 years, you're going to clearly see this baby don't look like nobody you know. Mama not going to tell you the truth, because her whole thing is she luckily got passed. That looked just like my great uncle Tyrone. You just never met him because he was already dead by the time we was cool like that. So you just never met him. But he looked just like my great uncle Tyrone. He really do. You know what I'm saying? Now, what you gonna do at that point? This kid, 3, 4 years old, You already got your paternity test saying the kid is yours. She talking about great Uncle Tyrone who never existed. What you gonna do? Ain't really much you can do because the government already said, hey, we went through this, we stamped off on this, we're not paying for this again. And now they go. Now what can you do? Let's say you do go get your baby tested. Now I don't know where you would go because if the government is in control of all the babies being tested, where can you go for a private test? I don't even know if that's going to even be available for you at that particular point. But even if you could go get a private test, I think you're going to fall into the same thing that men are dealing with right now. There have been some women who done got passed on the government where they said a guy lived somewhere and they supposedly mailed something to him. He never got the information. Then the court sticks the baby on him. So now that it's brought to his attention, he go do his own test. He bring his own test to the courtroom, and the courtroom say that test ain't valid because it ain't through us. So that's happening to me right now. This is not a story I'm just throwing out there. This happens to be right now. Women have claimed somebody has been the father of their child, supposedly mailed something to the person's address where he supposedly lived. Whether he lived there or not, this man never gets this letter. So he never shows up to court. He don't even know about the situation. And then some time go past and he eventually gets his big bill. He starts digging into what's going on with his paycheck. He finds out he's paying for some child, does his due diligence, ends up going to court and say, yeah, y'all put this baby on me that ain't mine. And I wouldn't have had the baby tested. And he goes to the judge and say, here are the test results from this child that is not mine. And they say, well, you missed your court date on, from January 8th, 3 years ago. So the baby was declared yours. So you stuck now. Now, my thing, if they doing that to me and right now, you telling me they ain't gonna be doing that to little black kids? You think they're not gonna attach black kids to random men getting tested? The government that's doing that right now. You didn't show up, you missed your court date. I've literally seen men say, well, I didn't even live there. Well, you missed the court date. I don't know what to tell you. So you mail something to an address that I don't even live at. So therefore, I never get the letter, never responded. But you hold me accountable for not showing up to court the first time over this. So you just automatically determine the baby is mine due to me not showing up to court to contest it. And I brought my own DNA test to prove this baby ain't mine. And all they say is, well, you missed your court date. It don't make no difference that you never got the letter. All we know is you missed your court date. So now the baby yours. So you're going to have to pay to this baby at least 18. And now what's going to happen if the baby go to college is a different story. But until that baby 18, you at least paying for that. This government that does that to people right now is going to be the government I'm supposed to say, you test all the kids and you let me know if the baby's mine. I don't think this is wise. I don't think people have thought about it in these terms. I understand why a lot of black men want mandatory testing. But I'm going to say it does come down to we just scared of the women. We have been socialized to be afraid of women. And this is one of the manifestations of us fearing women. Now, how are we going to be the leader if we scared of them, y'all? You can't lead with fear. You got to start making decisions. And you got to be firm on your decisions. The thing is, are you really going to care that much about what people are going to say about you getting your child tested? Because, yes, you're going to have negative people, even in your own family, that's going to attack you because you got your kid tested. Why would you do that to that girl? You embarrassing her. That woman done loved you ever since you brought her around. You're going to have to hear stuff like that. And the thing is, do you care? Now, let's say my mama did that, y'all. I love my mama, but let's just say I brought some chick around. We got married, or whatever. Or let's say we didn't even get married. She has a baby. I get the child tested. And now she mad at me regardless. Because if the baby ain't mine, before we find that out, she mad I'm quote unquote put that woman through this. Okay. Now, if the baby is mine, of course, you really gonna get it at that point because they're gonna be like, you should have known that baby was yours. So your mama gonna do it, your auntie's gonna do it. If your grandma's still around, she might be doing it. You know what I'm saying? Your cousins might be doing it. Your sisters might be doing it. And a fair amount of the men in your family might be doing it too. Why would you put that girl through that? Now, the thing is, do you care? And this your family, y'all. You're going to have some level of care about what your family thinks. But is it enough to please your family? Is it enough to override the possibility that you may be paying for a child for at least 18 years that ain't even yours? Now, I love my family. But I'm just going to say 18 years a long time. You know, I'd rather them be mad at me for the next 18 years and not pay than to pay for some child that ain't mine for the next 18 years and they be okay. They could just be mad. I'll take that. Now, I don't think it'll take them 18 years to get over it, but I would rather they be mad at me for 18 years and I not pay than to, really turn this stuff over to the government or just not get a child tested. And again, y'all, this type of stuff is corrupting other communities now. Why can't we as black men just get ahead in our community and let other people still fall apart? Why is that not a bad thing? But the only way we do this is, y'all, we got to start actually telling every black man what the plan is. Look, this is what black men do. Okay? We let people know at the beginning of the relationship, we're going to have all our children tested. All the newborns get tested. I ain't telling you disrupt everything going on with you right now. Okay? Because maybe you got a 15-year-old that ain't really yours. Now, if you want to clear that up, that's on you. But I'm concentrating on these newborns, y'all. You know, we can't quote unquote change the past, but we sure could do something about the future. We do have that ability. Now, Jay Moore has come up, so I'm gonna go ahead and give Jay Moore the mic. What's going on, Jay?
Not much, nothing. How's everybody? How are you doing, Roger? Same
Man,
blessings to everybody.
fantastic, brother. They ain't put these kids on me. Okay, they ain't got none on me.
Hey, man, all my kids are good fertilizers for this earth right now. Either sods, trees, grasses, and towels out here, or some tissue. My kids are doing wonders for this earth right now. Well,
circle of life, circle of life, baby.
Pretty much, what was it called? Honestly, yeah, we need to start telling dudes and other, like, especially black men, just in general, start bring up this DNA testing. I agree with you with the whole government part, because it's like, no matter how much I look at them, like, I really don't trust these people. They'll make slavery seem like it's a good thing, like it was made from God, like you were supposed to be in this position. So they don't care if they will put this kid on you. They're already doing it now. So I'm like, every man needs to do this stuff. But honestly, you know what the real issue with this whole entire thing is? A lot of these dudes want to keep this whole thing a secret in the first place. A lot of them want to be willful participants and never even want to open this book up or anything. Because even when I brought this up to my own cousins and stuff like that, all of a sudden now, oh, you're wrong, you're evil. Why are you bringing this up? Why are you even talking about it, huh? Why are you even talking about this stuff? It was like, because we need to know about this stuff. We'll give you the right. These women, they give 9 months of their body to them, so you don't deserve the rights to speak or anything. And my cousin, he got a whole son. And I was like, so what about your son? So you got no rights over your kid? That's what you're saying too? Well, you see, now you're going too far. We're done. Stop doing this. Stop bringing it up. I'm like, yo, you're really one of the problems with society. You want this thing to go on. He's like, no, I don't. Then tell me how you want another way out of this stuff. Well, I'm like, yo, I see what you are. And a lot of dudes are like this.
Well, see, this is the thing. We don't know what happens during pillow talk. There can be many a man who already knows that ain't his kid, but he ain't told his family that ain't his kid. And my thing is, they're grown men. I'm not telling grown men how they got to live their life. I'm just trying to give advice on the best way we should go about it. And if you want to pay for a kid and say, well, that's my son, because there's men who do that from time to time. especially some guys who guys who are sterile. They will accept a certain child because they came into the child's life at the right time, and they cool with it, and they can't have a child themselves, so they deal with that. So my thing is, instead of trying to make men feel uncomfortable about it, just accept if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But just come out and say that's what you want to do. Don't mess stuff up for other men because you want to take on a woman and her kids. Maybe you like that woman that much. She might be that bad to you. She may be trash to me, but to you, she may be magical. Because, women
But
do
Roger,
have... Go ahead.
no, one of the things that really ticked me off about this whole situation is the fact that he, as soon as you bring up his son or something, and he get offended and all this stuff, and he doesn't want to talk about it. But as soon as you bring up the fact, like, dude, but you're talking about other people's sons. You want other people's sons to do the stuff that you're talking about. But you don't want your son doing it. Isn't that like, aren't you a hypocrite
No,
completely?
I mean,
Like,
his son might not be his son, but he ain't trying to tell you that ain't his son. So you ain't thinking about it from that perspective. What if he already know?
I
That's
know
not
it's his. I'm gonna put it like, he's identical twins. He's an identical twin and everything. So the kid looks like him, but I know his brother and stuff. I mean, matter of fact, I don't know anybody's personal life completely like that, so who knows what will ever happen.
It's
But
been enough
that
people.
technically it could be his kid and not at the same time. Who knows? I don't know.
I seen
but
enough
that
people,
is definitely a blood related.
I done seen enough people get pulled onto a talk show. Shout out to Maury Povich. And a kid look just like them, and it ain't his kid. Sometimes women just have sex with men that look somewhat like you. Women always talking about they got a type, right? Sometimes the type is also connected to the looks. And sometimes men get accused of having babies that look like it could be their son.
No, and that's what I'm pointing out, right? Because he's an identical twin. I'm like, maybe, because you don't know who technically could be a father of twin babies, because technically both of them are the father, no matter what.
Okay, so he had a brother.
Yeah, a twin brother. Like, they're both identical twins. That's what I'm saying. They're both
he might already know that's his brother's kid, or maybe the chick messed with both of them, and because you saying identical twins. Ain't no real way to tell if both of them was hitting it.
That's what I'm saying. And I brought it. You know what's funny? I brought this up years ago. I was like, when I figured this, I'm like, oh, identical twins. Oh, they're both basically the same. Egg just split into two. I'm like, oh shoot! And I went up to them like, yo, technically both of y'all could be the father of each other's kids. If you guys ever had kids, you know that, right?
Because
they looked at me kind of stunned.
Standpoint, they can't tell because it's the exact same thing on the DNA side. They can tell. That's why I say if you get like a 92%, see, that could be your brother's kid. You get a 92% because y'all are very, very close. But with identical twins, if my memory is correct, ain't no difference in DNA. It's the same thing. So maybe this is what I'm saying. Maybe him and his brother was hitting this chick, and they might have made an agreement. You never know. But why would they tell you about that? Why would they get that deep into it? Yeah, we was both messing with her. She got pregnant, and we flipped the coin. And whoever lost, they was the daddy. Because we know it's one of ours. We can't say it's not. Now we don't know which one, but we know it's one of ours. So my thing is, guys go through stuff like that. And part of the issue is we keep trying to shame men for stuff, and men are supposed to be leaders, so they are supposed to make decisions. And if they want to take on a kid that ain't theirs, more power to them at the end of the day. It ain't really hurting us as long as he knows that kid ain't his and he chooses to do it anyway. My thing, if it's out in the open and in front, I can't really trip. My issue is the guys who getting tricked into it or getting forced into it in crazy situations. Now, if I meet a woman and she's a quote unquote single mother, you see what I'm saying? I say, well, the kid's 17, I don't care. This kid finna be gone soon. Okay, so I'm not gonna mess with a woman and she got a kid that's about to be gone soon, that's really not gonna affect me that much financially. You know what I'm saying? If the kid is a put together kid, well, I ain't gonna have to be trying to bail this kid out of jail all the time and putting a bunch of money into it, and the kid understands responsibility and things like that, this kid ain't gonna cost me that much. It's gonna cost me something, but it ain't gonna cost me that much because he already 17. He can go on about his business in the next year. So, so I can accept that. It's, somebody trying to pin this 2-year-old on you. To me, that's where the problem really come in. Women can keep going for this stuff, but my thing is, amongst men, we got to decide what we gonna do because it's about our community at the end of the day. We have this impression that Black women are part of the community. They're not. They're never going to be. They get to participate, but they'll never be the community. And that's what men need to understand. When you don't exist, your community don't exist. So women don't matter. And from a community standpoint, they just don't. It may not sound good, but that is the truth. If somebody came and killed every FBA man right now, there would not be any FBA women, and you don't have to kill any of them. They're not going to be FBA women. They're going to be women of other groups immediately. That's just what it is. You can say the same thing about any particular group of men. If you kill every Scandinavian man, Scandinavians don't exist anymore. That's it. It's over with. Women don't form communities. They just participate in them. Communities are always about men. So the thing is, if we want to dictate what's our community, should the government get position where they can do that? And, just now today, I just thought about the fact that, if we agreed to this, the government now has everybody's DNA. Do we want our government the way it is? You want the government to have your DNA? Do y'all trust that? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of you niggas gonna get locked up for murder because the government got your DNA. Because when they say we found your DNA at the crime scene, how you gonna say they don't know what they talking about? They already got your DNA on file. And I'm not saying like
And
it can't
that's
happen to
exactly
me.
why.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm
Oh,
not saying like it
that's
couldn't happen to me. It can happen to me too, but I'm just saying, y'all, unintended consequences happen when decisions get made. Go ahead and say what you're about to say.
to add on to what you're saying. There's dudes right now in jail that they know that are innocent. They even have the DNA to prove that they're innocent. They still keeping it hidden so they keep that man in jail. So yeah.
Well, my thing is, I'm not gonna say jail. There are men who are in prison. See, that's a whole different level. There's men who
Sorry,
are in
prison. My fault.
prison.
You're right. You're right.
They're already convicted. They're not in jail like they got a trial coming up. Because jail could mean you still got a chance to get out. Maybe you ain't went to trial or something. There's people in prison who are already convicted. They know what's up. Just is what it is. Now, why are we gonna volunteer to screw our sons over at birth? Because that's what we're doing. If we gonna say it's cool for the government to have access to everybody's DNA, that means they're gonna have access to your son's DNA. Now, when they need a patsy, how you know it ain't gonna be your son? Well, we need somebody to go down for this. Y'all bring me a file of nigga kids, okay? Bring me a file of nigga kids. I want all nigga kids, okay? The women, now don't worry about the women. Just give me the dudes. Just give me a bunch of nigga kids, okay? Matter of fact, this happened at this location. Give me all the nigga kids from New Jersey. We need somebody to go down. You know what I'm saying? We ain't finna worry about solving this. Matter of fact, we already solved it. It was one of ours that did it. So we need to put it on somebody else. Bring up that file of nigga kids. Because that's how it is. Now, I understand in real life they don't talk like that in front of us, but that's how it is amongst them. They may not even use it in those terms. They may say other stuff, but that's what they're doing. Give me that file of nigga kids. Officer Koshetsky, he took out a couple of gangbangers, but he didn't do it under the way of police. He didn't do it legally. So find me some nigga kids in Jersey. We gonna put it on them. Okay? Because we can't lose Officer Koshetsky. We need him. He one of the fellas. You know what I'm saying? Heck, I play cards with him every Tuesday night. We can't lose him. Find me a nigga kid. Okay? Boom. They already got your DNA. Boom. Now you done shot 2 gangsters. You ain't got nothing to do with the crime. Heck, you're not even involved in crime at all. They get their conviction on you and send you to prison, and they don't expect you to live that long, which will totally tie up all the loose ends once the people in prison kill you, because you ain't about that life.
You know what,
Now, my
Roger? You know
thing
what
is
this
this.
remind me
That
of?
sound like a, well, let me just say, to me, that sounds like a great plan. If you're a very notorious person, that sounds like a great plan. I'm gonna get a guy who not even about that life, have him go down for the crime. He'll be in prison maybe 2 months. He'll probably be dead. All my loose ends will be tied up. I'm good now. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, this remind me of like that Dave Chappelle skit when the cops like actually kill like a black guy and it's like sprinkle a little crack on him. It's like, oh, we actually killed this guy. Just sprinkle a little
Right.
nigga blood on this.
Yup. Yup. And that's what they're gonna be about. You know. And you know your officer Jim Shajeski killed this guy, but they just gonna pull up some random guy who ain't about that life, sprinkle some crack on you, and say, "Yeah, we arrested him over at the crack house." You know. Now I understand people saying he was in school and he was on the right track, but you know what? We arrested him. He was out front of the crack house. Now I don't know how that go together. And y'all know what people gonna do in the real world. Y'all know what people gonna do. They just gonna believe it because the white man said he was found in the crack house. And unfortunately, too many black people act like niggas when a white man say something. And we don't think about nothing. Well, they said they found him in front of the crack house. Maybe he was in school for engineering, but he was also selling crack. Maybe he was. Now, you ain't never met no engineering student sell crack, but you gonna believe because the white man told you on TV that this the first guy that was in school to be an engineer, but on the side, he was selling crack. And you gonna believe it because we believe what white men tell us way too often. Just is what it is. You know? And plus, they got your DNA. So you can't argue with them that they didn't find your DNA on the scene. No, we got his DNA. It's right here. Now, the truth is, you done had it since he was born. This is the time you prepared to use it, though. So I see us screwing ourselves over if we truly advocate for you know, government controlled paternity tests. Okay? It don't make no sense at the end of the day. You know, it is what it is. You know. Now, shout out to Lady D, y'all. Lady D is back. She say, no, we want paternity tests from the womb because child support starts from the womb and you can finally pay half of the birth bill. Now, we good on that. We good on that. Okay. Now, she do got some smiling emojis, so she actually could be saying that as a joke, y'all. I'm going to wait for that child to come out. We're going to get that baby tested. And until I'm cleared to get that baby tested, I ain't worried about no bills. Okay?
Wait,
I ain't
Roger,
worried
isn't
about
that? I think you think she's probably from Texas because then Texas made a law saying like, yeah, like at insemination, basically you're supposed to start paying child support at insemination.
I don't know if that ever went through. And my thing is, I wouldn't be
Oh,
pushing for nothing like that anyway. When that child is born, we'll go from there. Okay, we can go from when the child was determined that it was mine. What was the date it was determined the child was mine? Because at the end of the day, it's always flukes when it comes to certain stuff like that. Because even if you marry, if the child ain't yours, now you got to actually go through a whole process to try to get the kid off you because you was already married when the child was born. You see what I'm saying? So there's always different little stuff out there. And I totally get that, the thing is this, you can't really depend on women to do nothing because their whole thing is, and I saw a lot of women talking like this, stuff that y'all have heard before. I meant to put some of this stuff in clips, but I don't know how, but I just forgot to put the clips in last night. But women would say stuff like, "But that's not our fight. That's y'all fight as men, because y'all should be concerned with false paternity." And then we're acting like women are gonna fight for, what y'all should be with us on this one. they not gonna be with you, bro. They not on your side. Why would a woman have an issue with false paternity tests when that helps her? That's not
Especially when
gonna
they've been
happen.
doing it for like millions of years.
And that's why my thing is black men can't sit around waiting on women to act right. You got to just do stuff that makes sense. I understand they not gonna act right. I'm not gonna deny that they ain't gonna act right. You're gonna have plenty of them out there. All I'm saying is, as a man, don't make it a personal issue. Don't make it about your woman. You tell every woman before she gets pregnant, before this even come up, this is our future. In our future, all our newborns will be tested. Don't make it about her. Now I get it. She's gonna try to make it about her. And that's why you're gonna tell her before she even get pregnant, so she can't say it's about her. And if you already got kids, just say, hey, this is the new black man rule. We getting all our newborns tested. Just is what it is. This ain't about you, baby. This is about me doing my part for the black community. We can't claim we love the
You
black
see,
community, want to be a part of the black community. We ain't gonna do nothing for the black community. And they just asking me to make sure the child that I have with my woman is mine. That is not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? For us as black people, you should support that because you love me and you support me. I should do it because I love the black community. You know, women always trying to talk about what you niggas ain't doing for the community. Guess what, y'all? This is what you tell her now. For the community, we having all the newborns tested. This is a community issue. It's not a personal issue between you and your woman. You know, y'all may already have 2-3 kids already. You just tell her, hey, look, man, I was watching the Roger Report live. This is what they said, y'all. This is a community issue. Because I get it. I understand if you got a kid or two already, you don't want to go to your woman and say this type of stuff. Don't make it about her. This is what we're going to start doing as black men so we can protect our community. It ain't about the woman. Okay?
you know what, Roger? I told. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm
Oh,
listening.
I told my little brothers, like for the past couple of years, I've been telling my own little brothers from now on, like I don't care if you got a girlfriend, as soon as she's your wife, as soon as she says she prays, you will immediately say you're gonna get a DNA test. Even before that, you're gonna bring up this stuff. I've been telling them that too. And I already told them there's a plan A through D. Plan A, condoms, $10. Plan B, $60. Plan C is, either abortion or, whatever, or the pill or something, which I rounded up to $1,500. And then it was like Plan D, DNA test, and pray to hope to God that she was it called? She was a whore, and these are not your kids. Like, and guess what you get out of all that? No matter what, coochie always costs. You see that? So, and now my brothers, they all. Every time I tell my little brothers this, the only person that really be going against this would be their dad. Like, oh, you see, you're being too controlling or something. I'm like, dude, shut up. You have no way to rebuttal this. Even my own little brothers started to tell, like, yeah, I'm DNA tested. And I told them, like, if anything, if she start giving you attitude, bring her over to this household, and we all would tell her she's going to get that DNA test. We don't care. We will jump her for it.
Well, my thing is you got to change one thing. Tell them don't bring it up when they get pregnant. This got to be done beforehand. Because if you bring it up when they get pregnant, they're going to make it a personal issue about her.
Oh no, I told them I don't give a damn. Even if we bring it up during pregnancy, because if she try to do that, screw her feelings.
No. The thing is, we should give a damn. We can't put women in a position where we make it about them. That's going to be problematic. It doesn't make a difference how we feel about it. If you make it about them, you're giving them a reason to have a problem. When it's not about them, they have no reason to have a problem.
But Roger, what's funny? This has nothing to do with them in the first place. This is us certifying, like clarifying that this is our kid or not. This had nothing to do with them.
Which
So
is
that's the whole
why.
thing. I don't care about her feelings. Even if she tried to take my
But
lady,
that's
you prove
also
to me
why.
you're not here.
But that's also why it should be established before she gets pregnant, because it can't be about her if it was established before she got pregnant. You see what I'm saying? Y'all, there is a part of relationships that actually is about the people talking to each other. These are quote unquote soft skills. You got to be able to tell the woman this is what the situation is gonna be. Because guess what? A lot of these women you don't need to waste your time being with, and they will let you know in the very beginning. If I'm talking to a woman And I'm telling her, if it comes to that in the future, all newborn children would be tested, like we was talking about earlier today. If she's mad about this an hour after I tell her this, now I understand she's gonna be shocked that she ain't gonna be done heard it before. But if she's still arguing about this after an hour, I already know this is not a woman I should be having a relationship with. Why go through the trouble of getting to a point where she's pregnant when she's already clearly not the one you should even get pregnant? Yeah,
Roger,
preventative stuff
you're
works
right.
better.
Because I guess it's just more like me. I like to keep my chicks on edge. Like they never know what they're gonna predict. Like they can never predict what I'm going to do, and so I can always keep them like they never want to act stupid with me. So I was like, nah, I will keep it. I'll wait till even when she's pregnant, while she's about to give, or after she give birth. I'm like, nah, I'm getting a DNA test. What? Just to keep her on edge.
But
You will
the
never
thing
know when I'm
is,
going to strike.
though, we want a community that's quote unquote, I'll say, for lack of a better term at the moment, we want a healed community. We want people to take positions and take sides. If we're waiting to the last moment, you're not helping us do that. And that's where
Yeah,
it
that's what I
comes
said.
in.
You're right, Roger.
Yeah, we want a mature community, and we want to know where people are. Are you a dysfunctional anti-family single mother community member, or do you belong to one of us? You know, my thing is I want to know that from Jump Street. That's why I tell women this stuff from Jump Street. I ain't gotta wait to have no relationship with you. I don't even have to wait till sex starts with us to tell you all the newborns getting tested. You know, it's not a you thing, it's a community thing. Now, if you don't like the way black men are running the black community, then we know you don't need to be messing with me. It just is what it is. We're not gonna have no babies. That's all it is to it at the end of the day. You know. Now I'm about to tell somebody who done got pregnant by somebody, had a baby. You know, that you know. Now my thing about it was, well, you know, if you had a baby by the guy, you got to marry the guy. Now they talking about, well, I don't want to marry him. I don't have no reason to marry. You had his baby. At the end of the day, I don't care what you tell me about to do. You got to go and marry him now. But you know, you got single mothers and whatnot telling her, well, no, she shouldn't get married to the guy. Now I'm gonna tell her today that, you know, this is why you got to marry him, because you already got the kid. You don't have no position. And if you don't like the ideal of marrying him, then give him his kid. That's what I'm gonna tell her. If you don't like the idea of marrying him, give him his kid so he can move on with his life. But you don't get to keep no kid and then say you're not gonna marry the guy, and your life ain't together. How you gonna say that? The only way you could take care of a child is somebody gives you something, because this is a young person, y'all. This is a young person doing who did this dumb stuff. You know, 18ish, 19ish, maybe. You know, you gonna argue about anything. You can't do nothing for yourself. Well, probably about 18. Probably about 18. You know, technically an adult, but an adult is not in position to take care of themselves. Can't do nothing for themselves. You know, don't even have a job right now. Who are you to dictate anything to anybody? You're just not in that position at the end of the day. Plus, we do have to make it an issue about men having custody of children, y'all. Okay, we got to make that an issue at the end of the day. I don't care what no grunt or what no group of single mother losers told you. They a bunch of single mother losers. So why would you listen to them? Are you that stupid? That you only gonna listen to people who literally failed at what you're talking about? Who literally failed at what you're talking about? That don't make sense. Now H Revels has decided to come up, so let me go ahead and give him the mic. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, how you doing, Roger? Shout out to you as the host, everybody who's listening. Um, didn't get all of your commentary, but I was listening to you guys and your discussion. And basically, all the important issues need to be discussed in the initial part of that relationship. It's actually part of the evaluation process. So everything from mandatory paternity testing to how you see your future going 5 years out, 10 years out, and initially after marriage, you know, a decade into it, you know, and then after that, you know, I don't think you can kind of go too much more than 10 to 15 years before marriage, but that includes having the discussion about prenuptial agreements. A lot of women, bad women, can be avoided just with simple conversation and discussion and initial evaluation. If she's on board or not on board with a prenuptial agreement, if she's not on board with mandatory paternity testing, if she's not on board with, how your vision as far as how you see the family and the family's future going, and then how the kids need to be raised as it relates to education, religion, focus, discipline, all the major elements of what creates a family and community. If she's not on board with that, that's not your girl, man. She's not. What's the phrase? She ain't the one. She's not the one. So so paternity testing, and I don't want to, overdo the argument or your discussion too much. I notice that we're focusing on, you know, uh, these women not being loyal, and then having somebody having you take care of deceiving you into taking care of somebody else's kid. But there's a whole nother aspect to this. Everything from paternity testing to prenuptial agreement discussions to how you're literally going to plan out your life. If you're that serious about linking up with this woman and producing children, then yeah, you got to have these serious discussions before you even get to that point. So that way, it's not about, she already understands your ideology, your vision, and how you want things to go. So that's this is just one aspect of it, but I just kind of wanted to add that in there a little, but not focus on it too much because you know you're right. When something comes up, then you bring it up. Now you're making it about her versus, hey, look, this is my ideology from the beginning. I don't know how you didn't. So there's no excuses now. So I agree with you on that. I'll go ahead and land right there.
Now I'm gonna say, because of the way you said it, I'm totally against mandatory paternity tests for people in general. I think as Black men, we should make it mandatory for us that we have our children tested, all our newborns. Okay, I'm not saying open the floodgates to all of the kids is already here, but all the newborn children need to be tested. But that's something we should do, that we need the government to stay out of. Because once the government got control of something like that, they're gonna pin babies on random dudes. Because they're gonna say he make X amount per year, and he can pay for this child, or we can pay for this child. What's better for the government? Hey, you make $50,000 a year. You pay for it. We can skip past that one. Maybe we'll take on the cost of maybe this guy here who only makes, he only makes $20,000 a year. Maybe we'll take his baby on. But I would bet money that if we give the government that type of power, I don't care what's actually happening, they're gonna say Black men's children are coming back 95% of it belongs to the father.
Yeah, it'd be a
I
whole
can
white.
guarantee it.
It'd be a whole white looking baby. Yeah. So, but
Yeah, but
be
they're
some
gonna
white
say
kid.
95% of these kids belong to the dude that got accused.
And baby ain't
They,
got no pigmentation, but talk about it's your baby. Yeah, I got you.
yeah,
Well, yeah. So
they,
I
Nah,
don't know if I meant mandatory.
you guys remember that scene with Cat Williams in the jail with the when she came in with the white baby? Who's that white skin? Whose white baby
whose
is
white
this?
baby is that? And you know what? You done put the government in a position where you don't have no way to fight it.
Yeah.
But to believe the government not gonna say 95% of these kids it belongs to the guy who got accused, I mean that's just asinine. Real talk.
But
Well,
you know
no, it
what?
doesn't need to
You
be.
know what?
It
You
doesn't need
know,
to be mandatory in that respect. But I mean, what I'm saying is that it needs to be part of your evaluation process and your major discussions right up front. Because what a lot of women will initially eliminate themselves just based off, well, I ain't gonna submit to no paternity test, and I ain't trying to sign no prenup. Like that's if they're coming at you like that, then yeah, you need to just go ahead and get on out. And the other part of it too is, and then so this is the other part of it too. This is how it works for women too. See, this is why women do this thing where they end up having a baby or they end up getting abused by some terrible man, and they don't ask no
But
questions up front. He just
they
keeps.
lie about being abused by some terrible man. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's probably a better way to frame it. My whole point is that I get on discussions and live streams with usually I try to get a mixed panel, and there's women either pop up later on or there's maybe 2 or 3 women, but I try to get on a discussion with mostly men. And when I hear women talk, I hear them say almost all the time, well, I didn't know about this guy. He changed. He's this, that, and that. And I give them the, hey, so what you're saying is that you don't know how to evaluate men. You're making the argument that women as a collective have no idea how to evaluate men, which is why you need men's help. Talk to other men Get other men involved. You guys can make these decisions on your own. And when I say stuff like that, they start getting, you know, they're like, because they want to make that decision one way. They want to do that decision on their own. But this is why you have these serious discussions up front, whether it's man or woman, you can do it from both sides. But again, the paternity thing, the prenup, you know, how you're going to live your life. And these are people who are marriage minded and focused on marriage and actually building communities. So yeah, this is the stuff that men need to be talking about. So that's how it's supposed to go.
I say maybe the men are, the women are not. Women aren't single and marriage minded. That ain't happening. Okay, that's like some maybe the 22 to 23. You know what I'm saying? But you can't be sitting there 35 years old talking about you marriage minded and you're not married. You're a liar. Now, who you lying to? You can figure that out. Are you lying to yourself only? You know what I'm saying? Are you lying to everybody else or whatever? But you're not single and you know past 25 years old and you marriage minded. That's not the truth, because that can't be the truth. Because a woman who's marriage minded would just get married. It's that simple at the end of the day.
Well, that's the one thing they leave out in part of the discussion. The other thing too is that, so you know, the average age of marriage for Black women is 32. It's 32.
My thing is not that they're leaving it out. That's not where they at. Point blank period. Because women want what they want, and that's what men need to do. And the thing is, we don't need to equate everything to the same thing. Black men are the leaders. Therefore, we're going to tell them how it's going to be. We don't need a discussion with them about this, y'all. We can tell them what it's going to be, but there is no discussion. If I'm dealing with you and I give you a chance to be with me for any long period of time, this is what it's going to be. I care nothing about how she feels about it. She's either going to agree to it or she'll be gone. The thing is, as Black men, because we buy into too much white supremacy, we always try to make something quote unquote fair for women, and there's nothing unfair going on. You're the leader. Make a decision. This is not, I'm never going to discuss this with a woman like she has a choice. This is not about her choosing. This is not about what she likes. This is about what's good for us as Black men and what's good for our community. It is good for us as community members of our group to simply have all our newborns tested. Who cares what Black women think about it? Who cares what any woman thinks about it? This is what's good for our community, and that's what we need to push. It's that simple at the end of the day.
I have no argument there. So yeah, if you're not on board with that, you're not part of the community. You can figure something else. You can take your talent someplace else if you can.
Yeah, and when women start arguing all this type of stuff, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all what I call it, and maybe this will be very helpful to men. So you're gonna make another women are stupid argument, because when you start saying what the women can't do this and they shouldn't have to do this, but the women don't know he was a bad guy. The women don't know he was this and he don't know. So you're trying to argue that women are stupid. I don't believe women are stupid, and I'm not gonna accept that as an argument. They have access to the same information we got access to. So giving me the women are stupid argument, and plus, I'm also going to highlight the fact that the only thing the woman is saying is that other women are stupid. Okay, why is that not being highlighted? If you're going to come up here and just call women stupid, that's your business. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to act like that ain't what you're doing.
Roger, you know what's funny? I ran into this kind of situation already. Like recently, I went to the park and I got whatever. I ran into this dyke lady. She's talking to me. She asked me about like Black relationships, blah 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 blah, whatever it's called. I said the truth. Like she asked me like, what do you think about what's called Black women with white men and Black men with white women and stuff. I just said the truth, whatever it is. She started calling me some type of white lover or something like that. And then I'm like, you know what? Since you want to be a dude, I'm willing to whoop your ass like a dude. All of a sudden now, she started acting like she's a female. Again, like afterwards, she completely just like a dude, talk like a dude, act like a dude, and all stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I went to the wig store and bought a wig because I'm like, you want to be crazy? I'm gonna be insane on your ass. If you want to keep switch between genders and stuff, I can switch with you. So we're gonna play this thing straight.
Okay, now let me offer this, because I'm not gonna say she did anything like a dude. She did her best to imitate a man. I give you that. She did her best to imitate a man. If you're having a serious discussion with a woman who's literally trying to imitate a man, who really crazy? Is it you or her?
That's why I got the wig. I'm gonna be insane.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you're talking to a woman who's trying to portray herself as a man and you're having a serious
Yeah,
conversation, yeah, that's your mistake. That's
yeah,
all
that
I'm saying.
was. I'm not gonna lie. It is. I'm not gonna lie. That it was.
You
When you
know,
put it out like that, I'm like, damn, I am at fault for that. But I
no,
was,
no,
that was me giving the benefit of the doubt. I was trying to
no,
be, a civilized human being.
I ain't gonna have a serious conversation with a human that think they're alien. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? So, because I know some people gonna say, well, you shouldn't say. No, 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 no. I'm gonna deal with reality. You know what I'm saying? I understand you could want to be something that you're not. I get that. Okay. And but I'm gonna act like the truth the whole time. I don't do it just when it's convenient for me. I act like the truth is the truth the whole time. So if you think you an alien and you can't show me that you can do anything different than humans, I just got to accept that you a little bit off. It is what it is. So I can talk to you about funny stuff. I can talk to you about a movie. I can talk to you about a TV show. I can even talk sports with you. But to talk about anything at a serious level with you is beyond me. There's no reason for me to have a serious conversation with you about any. I can't even talk seriously about sports with you. If we start arguing about who's better than who and we get serious, I can't have a serious argument with a person who think they a man but they not. That person is not in my reality, y'all. I'm on Earth 1. I don't know what Earth they on. So my thing is we got to be real with ourselves at some point too. We got to be real with ourselves. Now, I think you was about to say something, H Rebels, but after you, I'm gonna give it to Champ Car for Life because he done came on. Were you about to say
Hey,
something, H?
Rock.
No, no, no. I'm good.
Hey,
Go ahead.
hey,
Okay, well go
hey,
ahead,
Rock.
Champ. How
What's
you
going
doing,
on?
brother?
Hey, how you guys doing? Happy Tuesday. Um, I tell you this. I feel like it should be mandatory. It should be a law because the thing is that a lot of these women, are getting away with a lot, just getting away with too much stuff with this situation and everything else. They always want to pin the child on the man and everything else. Now, black men, we take care of our children. Doesn't matter if there are blood, if there are blood or not. Okay, I have relatives that have taken care of that have taken care of children that are not theirs, and they've taken care of them, and they've done everything to get done to get them through school, through college, and through life. Okay, but what I just really just don't like is that these ladies, if they get with a man who's got some money and all that with multiple, okay, they're going to try to find a partner who has the higher income and everything else. If he's an athlete or a rapper and everything else, and then said that that's my son, that's the father of my child and everything else, whatnot and everything else. And it doesn't matter and everything else because even if the paternity test says no, it's not your father, you're still kind of responsible for it because you signed the birth certificate and everything else and all that type of stuff. So I mean, I agree with H. Rebels what he said earlier and everything. Is basically whenever you get with a woman for the first time, ask her some questions. Are you in it for the long term relationship? Are you in it for will it lead to marriage and everything else? Because a lot of these ladies, that you get down with and everything else, they're there, to have sex, and then baby pops up and haha, that's your child. That's your child. You gotta pay me up and everything else. I don't want to get married to you. And then my plane there.
Okay, now I'm gonna say this to you. You
Go
said
ahead.
we should have mandatory tests. So you believe the government gonna tell you the truth about who what babies belong to you?
Well, I'll go with the libertarian thought. Let the states handle it.
No.
Okay.
But this is the thing, champ.
Okay.
If you say let the government test, that means the baby goes to get tested, and the government has to make a decision. Are they gonna say this baby belongs to
Right.
you, or they gonna say the baby don't belong to you? Do you trust the United States of America as a government to say this baby is yours or this baby is not yours? Which one do you trust? Do you think the government gonna tell you the truth?
No, I don't believe they're going to tell the truth, and
So
that's why I'm
so
saying.
so so
That's why I'm saying let the states handle it.
no. You
I
think
mean, that's still the government, bro.
you think the state
I
gonna
mean, it's
tell
the
you?
states. I mean, I'd rather
No,
do a
no,
state.
no. Champ.
Okay.
You think the state that you happen to be in, we'll use mine for example. I'm in the state of Illinois. You
Okay.
think if I agree that the state should tell me if this baby is mine or not? I'm a black man in the United States of America. I live in the state of Illinois. You think I should accept the state of Illinois telling me if a child is mine or not?
I don't think you should accept that, but the
No,
problem
no, no,
is
no. Hold
that if
on
the
now. Hold
DNA.
on. If you saying it should be mandatory test,
I'm sorry about that. That's me,
that's
giving you
what
a
you are
call,
saying.
but
You're saying the
I don't
state should
like the
have
fact
control.
that we get pinned to take responsibility for another woman's child that's not ours.
Okay, but that's the point though. If you say the state gets
You
to
hear me?
determine if the baby, if you say the state gets to determine whether the baby is yours or
Hello?
not, you are saying the state it gets to decide whether you are paying for the baby or not. You don't see how
Can
that
you hear me?
correlates with each other.
But isn't the state already doing that right now? Pinning
No,
kids on men that ain't even
For
theirs?
the most part,
no, it's not
no.
mandatory at all.
Yeah, for the most part,
No, I'm
there
talking.
have been
No, I'm talking about when you sign that
no
birth
no
certificate. Don't they
there,
even force you to,
there
even if the kid
no
ain't
no
yours?
no no. Hold on. There are small cases where they are pinning babies on people. The issue with a birth certificate is you voluntarily signed a birth certificate. You said this is what you're saying to the state when you sign a birth certificate. Y'all ain't got to worry about who that baby daddy is. I got it.
Right.
That's what signing the birth certificate means. That's a voluntary situation. You don't have to sign no random baby's birth certificate. So if I have a woman that goes into the hospital claiming that baby is mine, I ain't signing no birth certificate. After that child gets tested and I get the results back from my test, then I'll sign a birth certificate if I want to.
No, Roger. The reason why, no, Roger. The reason why I pointed that out, I'll say even with the little bit of power the state got, they already either proving your point. They will still put a kid that ain't on yours on you,
The
even if
state
they
is
know
willing.
that.
Yeah.
The state is willing to pin random children on people. The state is clearly willing to do that. So why would we say that it should be mandatory? Because now we're telling the state we want you to determine if the baby is ours or not.
No, we don't want to give the state that responsibility because look, anytime the government will openly lie to you and tell you it's for your own good. So yeah, if you get it's one thing to have to go to court to prove paternity, and then you actually get an independent agency to confirm paternity. That's one thing. But if the state doesn't, if the United States government, and I'll say at the state and federal level, didn't have a history of just being such liars and doing stuff for their own best interest, then we could trust that. But because they have that history, and not only do they have that history, they're doing it still to this day. They're doing things right now that have to serve no purpose for anybody except for like a wealthy few and a certain certain groups, special interest groups. Outside of that, they don't give a flip about the rest of us. So no, you can't trust them for that. It has to be an independent agency. It's a collective decision among black men because we ain't worried about what the Hispanics and the Asian and the white men are doing. They can figure out their own rules. But we establish our own practice of doing that, and you just tell women, initially in the first month or so of dating, hey, look, this is how this is going to go. This is how I see our marriage moving. These are my rules, and these are the things that's going to happen. And matter of fact, you're actually demonstrating leadership at that point already. Women always talk about, I want a leader, I want a leader. That's leadership. That's what it looks like. It looks
Yeah.
like stuff that you probably don't want to do or that you probably might be against, but then you go, you know what? This guy has his life together. He understands how this should go. And I'm going to trust this man with my future and the future of the children that we produce. Like
And,
that's what leadership looks like. It's
and,
crazy because people will sit here and go, well, we need to fight against that. You have women who will openly fight against, well, I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that. Well, you don't want a leader then. You want somebody
exactly.
that to do what you want them to do and whenever you want them to do it, and not give you any pushback or any focus or correction when you're doing something wrong. That's what you want. You want a patsy. You want a guy who's going to pander to you. That's what you want. You don't want a leader.
Well, this is the thing, y'all. Black men, we get too caught up in what black women want. The thing is, you're gonna go in and be the leader. If she don't accept it, just give her her walking papers. It's not that. It's not that serious at the end of the day. This what I'm doing because I'm a black man, and this is what it costs you to be with me. Point blank. Period. All my newborns getting tested. It's that simple. At the end of the day, what you feel about it is of no concern to me. I don't care how you feel. It don't even matter how you feel. Tell anybody you want to how you tell anybody else how you feel, because the last person is gonna matter to is me. It's that simple at the end of the day. You can tell your mama, she might care how you feel. You know what I'm saying? You can tell your daddy, he might care how you feel. You can tell your brothers and sisters how you feel. But I guarantee you, I'm the person that don't care how you feel. This what the rule is. And that's it. So if you want to walk this path, this is where the path leads you. So I'm not worried about is she looking for a leader or not. If she's looking for a leader, I'm showing leadership, she'll be good. If she ain't looking for a leader, she'll disappear. And I'm fine with that. But I'm not finna torture myself over some random woman's feelings. I don't care. Now, let me let Shark Sims get in here because he done slid up here. So, Shark, you got the flow, my brother.
Hey, peace, fellas. Happy Tuesday. How y'all doing? Peace to the chat.
Hey, man, ain't no babies on me yet, brother.
Now, like, I agree that there should be mandatory paternity testing. To the fact of the matter that it will have these women thinking twice about just having random kids. You know what I mean? It'll really hold their foot to the fire. Not so much as protecting black men. It will really hold their foot to the fire to be more responsible with what they're doing. You know what I mean? And as far as like, it's a tricky thing when it comes to trusting a woman with her word. Because all right, Roger, you sit down, you have a date with homegirl. She's beautiful, she's cool, she's well behaved, and you like, yeah, I want to get. It's mandatory paternity test when if me and you have a child. She like, oh, that's cool. Y'all get together, y'all together 3 years. You like, you know what? I want to marry her. Y'all get married. Now y'all have a baby. And she's like, no, I'm not getting a paternity test. You my husband. You supposed to know that I'm your wife. Now you in a whole nother situation, because now she like the whole marriage is strained all because you trusted her with her words. So now how do you handle that?
I'm gonna get the baby test and she gonna be all right.
Well, not only that,
it ain't
the way you
personal.
handle it, that's actually part of the prenuptial agreement. Like, put everything in there. Y'all. I'm sorry, go ahead,
let me say this. Y'all, at some point, it ain't personal. It's just business. I don't care how you feel. The thing about it, as black men, we got to let go about how black women feel about every single thing that goes on. Because if you worry about their feelings on everything, then they're leading you. You're the leader, not them.
We're not worried about her feelings. We just worried about the fact that you trusted her enough to think that she was going to go through with the plan.
No, the thing is, she's supposed to be in a bad situation if she lied, not you. You know what I'm saying? Her world should be falling apart if she lied. And the only thing I'm going to say is I told you from the beginning this what it was going to be. So I don't even know why you're tripping. And I'm going to keep on moving like her situation don't matter. She's going to have a problem because she lied, not me. And that's where black men got to hold fast. It's okay for your woman to run into problems because she's not listening to you. That is okay. That's part of the price of not accepting your leadership. She's going to start running into a bunch of problems. Because how you gonna pay for? How we gonna get our bills paid if the test ain't done? Because you just told me I can't trust you. You think I'm finna pay the bills? No, it's a huge problem that just started. Because I'm supposed to get this baby tested. Now you're quote unquote contesting me getting the baby tested. Well, who gonna pay the light bill then? Who finna pay the mortgage? Because I know it ain't me.
I know what you're gonna be paying: alimony and child support.
You know what? We'll get to that point if it goes that far, because I can guarantee you ain't nothing finna get paid now. So you just started a ticking time bomb to when you about to hit the street.
So I think it's just a tricky situation, and it's like, you know what? Make it mandatory. Forget it. Like, everybody put their pride aside, make it mandatory. The only thing I see that's problematic about it being mandatory is, like you said, now everybody DNA is on file. But I think everybody DNA is on file already. You know what I mean? If you ask me, from vaccines to
Hey man,
doctor's appointments to all kinds of stuff, like they got it on file. It ain't
But well, we ain't gonna have to
21
guess
and
about
me.
it no more. If we say the government gonna get the test, we ain't got to guess about whether they got it or not. We gonna know for sure they got it. Now I'm gonna say this.
yeah,
This is the problem with that. The government is not gonna report that they have less than 95%. I'm pretty sure, y'all, it'll be 95% of them babies. If the woman say this is his baby, the government is not gonna take a position that more than 95% of these babies ain't with the right guy. I don't care what the truth is. The government ain't finna take that position that less than 95% of these babies are getting represented by the wrong guy. The government not gonna do that because the government are going to understand if I tell the truth, those are babies we're paying for. The government ain't doing it. So guess what? We can say put our pride to the side. The only thing we're asking for at that point is to make the government make us pay for random kids because they're not gonna go under 95%.
Wait, so you saying the government ain't going
that's
to
why I agree
report
with.
that? You going to say? So you saying the government is not going to report that 95% of females are
I'm saying we could
silent?
go in there. Let's. I'm just making up a number. We can go in there, and 72% of those children don't match the father. The government is gonna say 95% of these men, those are their kids, because they're not gonna give you. Now they're not gonna do 100% because that's gonna look crazy. So they're gonna probably go about 95% and say those children belong to the men that were accused. The government
I
not
agree
gonna
with
pay.
Roger. And the government is be like,
Yeah, I
the
agree
truth
with
is what
Roger
I
too.
say it is. That's how they operate. Like,
But
look, it's unfortunate, but we can't trust the government to do things right.
I could agree, but the government already taking care of over half the black community's children. I don't know
Don't
if
means
you
we got to
guys
give it the
know.
rest.
So, so,
Like because they're
so
doing it, don't means they're giving. You have to give out the rest of it, dude. I know that they're spying on us, but they can't say it out loud that they're completely spying us since the Patriot Act because it's
but
not
no,
fully
no,
out yet. They know they can't really expose it, so it's the
well,
same thing, dude.
no, but
They
no,
might be
no, no,
doing. Don't means we
hold
want
on
it.
now. My thing is, don't miss the point of what he just said. Now, hold on. If they paying for most of the kids now, let's say that's absolutely true. They're paying for most of the kids, right? So guess what? So now we can get rid of this bill. Because if I'm a good government employee, what's one of the first things I'm supposed to do? Get rid of bills that we don't need to have. So if we gonna be in charge of testing the DNA, I'm about to get rid of big bills. Because guess what? 95% of these kids belong to whoever she accused.
She accused, but you got to prove. So, but the mandatory is going to prove that she's wrong. Now, I
But
could
you don't know
understand
what
you
the
saying
results
No, it's
that
not.
the
You don't
government.
know that
you don't know what the results actually are. You just know what they told you.
No, if she's
exactly.
accusing
There's a
you
lot
of
of
being
innocent men in prison right now
if she's
that could
accusing you of
easily be
being a
free, but they ain't
father,
doing it.
if she's accusing you of being a father, your only choice is to get have a
No,
DNA test done.
but if the government in charge, the government gonna take the test, and that's the test they're gonna go by. They're gonna go by their own results. How can you question what they tested? You wasn't at the lab. You can't say they wrong.
And like Tony Runner said, you get an independent source to do a next one, and you lawyer up.
Yeah,
It
that's
ain't
what
gonna
I'm
make no.
saying.
They already have something for that because men have. I explained it earlier when I said men who they claim missed the court date, then came back to court when they found out stuff started hitting they check. They start going through their information. Then they end up with a new court date with tests to show that their kid ain't theirs. And every single time they do that, they just say, "Hey, man, you missed your court date. We already had a test, and that's the test that's admissible. The test you have right now is cute that you did it, but that's not admissible." They already
Yeah. So
denying people real tests.
I just think
Hmm.
that mandatory and make women more responsible on what they're doing with their bodies.
Yeah, me
Why?
too.
so
I
so
agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Let me just say this real
Dude,
quick.
in
Let
the
me just say this
world
real
that
quick
you
before you
wish,
say
yes,
H.
that could
Rel.
be true.
Let me just say this real quick. Once the women found out the government once the women find out the government is not gonna put them on the road, all they gonna do is get worse with it. But go ahead, H. Rebels.
yeah, I was gonna say, so Shark, that in the overall scheme of things, that sounds like a great concept. Make it mandatory so women would be more responsible from the beginning. All it really does is highlight the problem and actually puts a spotlight on women's irresponsibility. That's really all it does. It just makes it worse for women, and it just proves that they're just not good people. When you got to make them do, when you have to put mechanisms and checkpoints in place to make them do what it is they're supposed to do from the beginning, and that you have to come up with this fancy scheme to get them to make the right decision. That just again, these are women we don't want to mess with. They're not savable. They're useless to us as men. They can do what it is they want on their own, and they can make their own bad decisions and live with those decisions and the outcomes and the consequences. And the only people they can blame is themselves. But you can't attach yourselves to these women. And that's all that proves is like, well, in order for you to be responsible, we gotta put this restriction in place so you make better decisions. They're not. I don't even know even if that was put in place. I'm not even sure they would even do it. That's how bad the track record is now.
But
Okay.
it still points to the fact that we was right, that these women ain't responsible. These women are conniving. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, but
sometimes you ask
But the government
God
is
for a
too.
blessing.
Shark,
You ask
when are
God
you
for blessings,
Shark?
and then
When
He
is
can't determine how He going to give you that blessing. And this is a blessing in
you know?
disguise right here.
Yeah, I agree
But
right
Shark,
there.
you know the
But
real
I mean,
issue
that's
is
where we
of the
got to
matter
start
is right
holding
now is that
women more accountable with their behavior and their actions when it
Look,
comes to this.
look.
yeah, but guess what? You
What
know
I'm
what
saying to
really
y'all
affect
is,
women's accountability is if all men start holding them accountable to it. Instead of trying to defer, responsibility to somebody else, why don't we all just man up and take the responsibility? It just seems like we don't want to deal with our women being mad at us for even questioning them or even testing them. So let me just be a pussy and just bring the government involved because they can do it. She can't say nothing to the government. That's all it sounds like what's going on right now. We all need to be man enough to just say, check this bitch. We need to make sure that this kid is mine. I don't care about her feelings about it or anything else. What the government got to say, I want to make sure it's mine. Let's not get like what Roger said. I don't want to give the government that say slavery was great for us. Like, oh, if you run away from slavery, you're crazy. You got kleptomania or something like that. They'll make up all these convoluted stuff just to pin you down. So I'm just saying, dude, it just sounds like a lot of us just don't want to get our bitches mad or get our mamas mad or something, and we don't want to say nothing about it. So we just want to, run to the government to handle it for us when we should be man enough to do it ourselves. Call your damn chick out.
okay. Now I'm gonna say shout out to Donovan Wallace. Appreciate you being here. First time noticing his name. He says, then decentralize the test. Donovan, great idea. But we're talking about the government. I don't care how much decentralization you have. You could have 30 different clinics running the test. The government is in charge of telling you what the results are. That's what your problem is. Your problem is not the test. Your problem is the government representative that's going to tell you what the test said. That's your problem. And once it's in the government hands, you can't question them. And it mean anything. What they accept is what they accept. Have y'all not heard me say multiple times? There are already men who quote unquote missed a court date, and they went and they eventually they checks got hit, and they started investigating. Yeah, I got $600 missing out my check. What's going on? So what they gonna do? They gonna go to the payroll department. The payroll department gonna say, "Well, we paid you." Okay, so why I got $600 missing? They gonna look something up and it's gonna say, "Oh, that went to your child support." Now you sitting there with no child talking about, and you getting told that your money went to child support. Your natural reaction is gonna be, "I don't have a kid." The person at payroll gonna tell you what it is. Look, bro, I don't know what's going on with you. I'm telling you where the money went. That's on you. We paid you as a company. It's over with for us. So now what you got to do? You got to trace this back through the government to figure out where your money is going to pay for some kid that you do not have. You're going to go, when you finally figure it all out, you're going to go get a test done, proving that this child ain't yours, as long as you can get a hold to that baby, because now that's the thing, you got to get a hold to that baby, and you're going to show it with a test to say the kid ain't yours. And you know what they're going to tell you? That's inadmissible. That's what they're going to take, because they already telling me in that. I'm not talking about a theory of what might happen. I'm telling you about what's already happening now. So I don't care how much we want to quote unquote decentralize the test. The only thing that matters is what they're going to tell you is admissible or not. And if you already gave the government control, how you think you're going to get a test entered that they didn't take?
So, Roger, you go on vacation in New Orleans and you meet a nice little biddy and you make a mistake by telling her your name, right? She look you up on Facebook. You already made that mistake. You back in Chicago. You know females are out here just putting niggas' names on birth certificates.
Absolutely, which is why
So
I
how
don't
do you
give.
Hell
protect
yeah.
that person?
That's why
How do
you're
you
gonna be
protect
called
that man?
drapetomania, bro.
But how do you
Bro,
protect that man
It's
who gets caught up in that kind of trap?
real
Yeah,
quick,
exactly.
y'all. Real quick. A comedian said a joke about how y'all already giving all your passwords out on Facebook and Instagram and all that type of stuff. You know, y'all come celebrate my great grandmother's birthday, Miss Alberta June Leonard. You know what I'm saying? I don't put that stuff out. I done figured out the game. I don't give information I don't need to give. I ain't giving you my last name. I ain't brought a woman back to my place in years. Real talk, y'all. Why? Because if I take them back home, that gives them an address. I'm not giving you an address. It's that serious at the end of the day. If you want my address, we can get married and then you can see where I live. But if we ain't finna get married, I don't see why you need to know where I live.
But
It just is what it is. So I'm not saying, Shark, you don't have a point. I'm saying, y'all, you got to start developing defenses against random people getting a hold of your stuff and your information because they will do it. I can't trust a woman in New Orleans that I don't know. If she find out who I am and get my social security number or whatever, ain't no telling what they would do. So protect your stuff as best you can. That's all I can say. Protect it as best you can.
But
But
Roger, you don't even need to have sex with her. She can still put your name on the birth certificate, and your ass is held liable.
you gotta know,
Yeah.
put like this. You gotta know which Roger she talking about first, though. You
No, she
can't
put
hold me liable if you don't have no information to get back to me.
she put Roger Report Live. You never even met her, and she put Roger Report Live on the joint. Not saying that's your real name, but you know what I'm saying. Like it has happened. I just seen a case. Homeboy said I never even met the girl.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
seen
saying
that too, bro.
that doesn't happen because I agree that it
I
happened.
see too,
It
lot.
happened to Ludacris. He had to go through a whole thing, which is why I'm saying look at the government pattern. The last thing I should do is voluntarily give them that power. You see what they doing, and we ain't voluntarily gave it to them. Holla at Ludacris. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's happening. So why make it easy for
Y'all
them?
had Neo.
No, it's not easy
Neo
for him
went through the
because
same thing.
once she puts the random dude's name down, they need proof that he's the father by the mandatory blood test. Yeah.
Okay, so and
Yeah,
this is
but
the
you
thing.
keep forgetting that they will control the names behind the DNA. They could change it around. Even if the DNA does not match up, they will just say it is you. Like, dude, this is drapetomania. You're giving them the opportunity to say that you even questioning this stuff is drapetomania.
This is the thing. If you give the government control of it, they're going to control it. There is no way in the world the government finna say more than 95% of these men don't belong to the guy accused. They're not going to do it. They're going to have the truth and just simply not tell it. But I got to get a flow to J-Do, y'all. I got to get a flow to J-Do.
Hey, what's up, Roger? What's going on, fellas on the panel? Everybody in the chat.
Peace.
Peace, bro. Yeah, yeah, I got mixed feelings about the whole thing. I guess I'm kind of slightly leaning towards it being mandatory, but I don't think that would ever happen. I just I don't think the government wants to expose this stuff, man. It'll get out of control. And Raj, I definitely I see where you going with your point as far as yeah, man, like, just stepping up, being the leaders that we are, and doing what we got to do, just standing up to these women, black men particularly. But I really think, man, I think the ultimate thing really, and we don't mention this, well, it's not mentioned a lot, but I think the men are concerned about their own feelings, man. I think there's a lot of men, black men included, that actually don't really want to know, or they're concerned about how the woman feels and how it would make themselves feel. So really, they're dealing with really their own internal issues, man. And when you start, man, you having sex, unprotected sex with these chicks or whatever, Man, it's a lot of emotions and little psychological things going on, man, that, we kind of dismiss or we don't really speak about too much. And we say, yeah, the woman, she's the emotional being and we're the logical ones. And that ain't really always the case, man. I know overall that's the case, man. We're supposed to be more logical and thinking, and they're more emotional and feeling. But that's not always the case, man. And I think a lot of us don't want to deal with our own issues with that in general, because I have no problem with this. And I think, but some brothers just don't want to even deal with how it's going to make them feel. You know what I'm saying? And that's something. So I think it's a good thing to push, Roger. I don't know, but I think it's going up here. It's a real uphill battle, man. And it's a lot of stuff that we don't really talk about. But I do kind of slightly lean that it should be mandatory and decentralized, where they can pick whatever agency or company or whatever. They have their own choice, and maybe two different ones, and verify. And Roz, I get your point, man. Like, the government they dirty, they corrupt, man. But hey, them, like, what do we trust with anything, man? Do we trust any DNA? Like, this what I'm saying. Like, I'm a former armed forces member. You know what I'm saying? I'd have been poked and prodded all types of ways. You know what I'm saying? So I know they got my stuff somewhere in some database, man. But, like, do we trust how do we trust anything, bro? Like, do we do any and I know, like, the FBI, we talking about, like, DNA and stuff with crime and stuff like that. I mean, can we trust any of that stuff? You know what I'm saying? Why don't we throw it all away? You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be some level of trust somewhere. But I'll end right there. Thanks for having me up, bro.
Yo, Jado, you remember that song?
Jado, if you give them an inch, we already gave them an inch. They already went a mile. Do you want to give them the rest of the goddamn, like, the field? Like, that's the whole thing. We already know. Like, I'm ex-military too. I know they got my DNA up there, but I know right now they can't really fully use that thing on everything. It's only in a one certain database.
I'm just saying, if you have, I'm just saying right now, if you run let's say you say, hey, lady, I'm gonna get a DNA test on this newborn baby or whatever. I mean, do you trust that?
Well, this is
how do we trust
it more than the government?
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, if the government,
hold on, y'all. Go ahead. Nothing's 100%. We I'm not gonna even pretend that we're gonna have anything at 100%. I know, you know what I'm saying. So, Jado makes a point. Now, my thing is, for the individual guy that wants to do it, I'm not gonna shame him. If y'all have paid attention to me in the past, y'all can see I don't shame men for what they want to do as a man. If you want to take on somebody else's kids, cool. At least you taking them on. They may not be problematic people when they grow up, because at least you being involved. But if that's your choice, I just respect you as another man that you made that choice. I don't necessarily agree with the choice, but I respect the choice because I respect you as a man at the end of the day. I'm against you being forced into something that you did not agree to. That's what my issue is. I don't want you forced into nothing that you didn't agree to. If you say, I want to take on her 3 kids as if they're my own, hey, that's on you, bro. It is what it is. Just don't sit there and complain about the outcome of it if it don't go the way you want it to go, because you knew what you took on. Now, somebody who's being assigned a baby that don't want the baby, I got a problem with that. And I'm going to say mandatory testing going to bring us all in there, because I know what government that I come from. If it's mandatory testing, then at some point, like right now, they say, 54% of black men do not have a wife or a child. You start mandatory testing, just about every black man going to have a child. Because women are going to say, that's my baby father. I don't care whether you had sex with her or not. She going to say, that's my baby father. You know what I'm saying? He my coworker. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to come to your job. They're going to subpoena information. You know what I'm saying? They're going to get you to come in and do the test. And I don't care that you didn't have sex with her. They're not going to say that's not your baby, because if they said that, they will put the total past 95%. The government going to pick a number, y'all. I don't care what's going on. When it get to 95%, we stop. Those children belong to those men. Now, even the workers who got to perform may say, well, that's not right. Didn't nobody ask you what right was? If you don't like the job, leave. That's all it's gonna be. If you don't like the job, leave. That's
But
it.
that happens now.
Yeah,
That's
then
what
we're
I'm
gonna be
trying to
cat
say. The fact that some guys are taking women and getting paternity tests done to show the government that that's not their kid. This is happening right now. So we trust in the government to do it now. Why you can't trust the government to do it tomorrow?
No, my thing is
because they're two faced.
I don't. The government does a whole bunch of shady stuff. This is the U.S. government, y'all. The U.S. government ain't never not been shady. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm just as American as the next guy, but don't ask me to lie like I got a clean government. They've been dirty. Okay.
So you talking about the same government that tried to get black men out of the home and to break up the black families, right?
Yeah,
So now
and they
you're
not
saying
gonna.
that
Not
same.
just that, the
So,
Tuskegee
so now you're
experiments.
saying
God
that's
damn it!
hold on. So now you're saying that same government is going to try to keep black families together by just assigning a man to because it's
No. They're not gonna keep black families together. They're not. They don't care nothing about who the daddy is. They're just gonna assign somebody to pay for the kids. This ain't gonna have nothing to do. This is not gonna affect family formation in any positive way. If anything, it's gonna increase the number of women just having babies at random because they can have a baby at random, point out any random dude, and the government gonna make the guy pay because the government ain't going past their number that they've picked. And I'm just using the example. They're gonna pick 95%. So I don't care who baby that is. When the government get a hold of it, ain't nothing going past 95%. We'll pay 5% of these children, but we ain't paying for the rest of them.
I don't know, Roger. You on your
Yo, and
pro black? You on your
Shark. You
pro
know what's
black
fun?
stuff right now? That old you on
Shark,
that Dr. Umar Johnson shit right now, man.
yo, yo, Shark. You know what this sounds like right now? Like I said earlier about the basically way how this is all going to end up. If we give the government, what was it called, this power and stuff, we're going to be Cat Williams in jail, looking behind that damn glass, saying, "Whose white baby is this?" And there'd be nothing we could say to do about it. We're gonna be locked up. And he was like, "Oh, I've been in jail for like 6 months. I mean, 6 years, and this baby is 3 years old. How am I? How did I get this? How is this my baby? Oh, look, it looks exactly like you." And the government right behind her saying, "Yep, it looks exactly like you."
I don't know. I think y'all got
I
your
mean,
tinfoil hats on right now.
yeah. And what's preventing them from just doing that right
Right
now?
now.
Government giving them full power.
At this moment, you would have an uprising of men if it was just done. The thing is, what they're doing right now is they're trying to condition people for the government does actually go through time to condition people for stuff so they will just accept it later. Sometimes they spend decades on conditioning people. So at the end of the day, if they just start hitting us with with this your baby no matter what, the thing is nobody's looking at it from a family dynamic. This is just a money situation. How do we direct money that we want directed to the place that we want to direct it? Well, we gonna have a rule. We can't do more than 95% of babies not belonging to the man that's accused. And that's it. And guess what? Maybe the rich and powerful people we kind of leave alone because they rich and powerful. But all you regular niggas, you screwed.
Hey, would there be, if they were to do that, Roger, would there be an uprising?
No.
It depends on when it happens. Because
I'm just saying,
it would be
if they came up with a program and it's all
put like this. Let me put like this. Like this. All right, they gave me a woman. They assigned some woman to me and said I got to pay for a child, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now my first question is, how's she gonna collect child support if she ain't allowed to do it? That's my first question. How many men would have that similar question? Because I can guarantee you, I can guarantee you she'll never collect child support from me. I guarantee she won't get it.
Right.
Look, I'm Jamaican.
Right.
You see what
Right.
happened with our prime minister? They afraid of us. If we learn
This would
get
never.
all that information.
It would never happen. I don't think it would ever happen.
No,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't believe it would ever happen.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, if it were to happen, let's say we all go ahead.
I'm saying the question to the uprising: how many men do you really believe that would take the position she'll never get the money?
If enough men, I think, yeah. If it got down to that, man, I think quite a few dudes are gonna get really angry and they're gonna do something about it.
Yeah, but how many though? Is it gonna be 2%? Because 2% can be controlled. We just gonna throw them in jail eventually, and
I
we ain't
suspect
got
at
to
least
worry
a
about that
third.
no more.
I'll say at least 33%. I think at least a third. That's
But
just my guess.
what we missing out on is there's other men in this country too. And they might vote for this shit to say, for the thing to say yes. We just coming from the perspective of just the Roger Report audience. It's like, no, we talking about the American people, the American citizens that are men. They're definitely going to say, you know what, hell to the yeah. Just because Roger don't want to do it, don't mean Brad don't want to do it. Don't mean Too Young in China from China don't want to do it. Don't mean the Indian guy in 7-Eleven might not was going to the Latin dude who's making taco. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, what are we talking about here? They're not just implementing this for the black community. They implementing this for America.
But hey, Roger, this is at a real life situation in France. They started doing this, and they shut it down because they got too many kids were coming up without any fathers. They shut the whole program down because they did not want them children to be on the government. The whole country of France shut it down because they came up it was like a 48%, like almost half the kids that they tested were not the father's kids. So they shut the whole thing down. The government.
But let's say what that means. That means the government took a stance that you niggas gonna pay for these kids no matter what.
Exactly.
That's the stance the government took. And I'm saying our government is gonna take the same stance. They ain't gonna report less than 95% of these kids belong to the wrong guy. They not gonna do that.
I mean, that stance has already been taken as far as I'm concerned, man, to be honest with you. Right now.
It collapsed the government.
We all paying for some damn kids that ain't ours. On some level.
No,
we all paying for them.
I wouldn't argue with that. I wouldn't argue with that because I said that we start paying for children when we're kids. The first time you go to the candy store, you didn't pay for somebody else's kids. The first time you went to the corner store, you didn't pay for somebody else's kids because the people who own this, that, and that, who actually got to pay, they just pass that charge along to you. So we all paying for people's kids.
But I do agree, Roger, that black men particularly should be pushing these paternity tests. Definitely, as individuals, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, when I say that your girl has to be on your program, that means everything. That means like H. Rod was saying, they have to be. If we need a prenup, we get a prenup. We getting children tested, we getting the children tested. That's being part of your program. Is everything that you say she follows. If we're not getting Gucci belts, we're not getting Gucci belts. That's what on your program is.
Yeah, right, shout out to all the niggas who got pressured into buying Gucci belts.
It ain't nothing over here at the watch, ain't here at the turn around. They ain't doing that.
I hate when you talk, Toro. You just be rubbing your life right in our faces like this. I really don't like you anymore. I'm on the Mrs. B type of level with you. Well, I swear to God, I don't like you anymore.
I appreciate it. And I keep asking to rub it in some more. Y'all, I'm just tell y'all the truth. I'm gonna continue to ask them to rub it in some more. Okay, real talk. Okay, I like to see brothers winning. So my thing is this, y'all. We can do it ourselves. We don't need the government involved.
I'm just jealous.
I think as black men, it's not wise for us to get the government involved. Now, Shark make a point. Are the white guys gonna go for it? Sure, because they don't expect the government to do them dirty. They gonna believe the government gonna look out for them. They gonna believe the government gonna protect them. So I can see them fighting for it. Okay, the Indian man, he gonna believe in the American dream. I came over here with 21 cents in my pocket. And I turned this into such. They gonna believe that dream. As a black man, ain't nowhere in the world I'm finna believe the government finna do right by us. Especially something that's this simple for them to take advantage of us. Because they gonna do the test, they gonna have the results, and all you gonna get is what they said. And what you gonna argue when all you have is what they said? And the fact that you can go get your own test done and they can just tell you what that test is inadmissible, there's no other avenue to go to at that particular point because you already got your proof. They just saying we don't care about your proof. Why am I gonna make this easy for the government to do me? I don't see no point making it easy for them. Truth be told, Now, as black men, yeah, just go get your newborns tested, man. You know, the thing is, yeah, you're gonna have to let it go about messing with other men about what their position is. We gonna have to accept men are gonna learn stuff at their own pace and at their own level. The only thing we can do is try to direct you in the right way. I understand there will be a 19-year-old guy who gonna say that's my baby mama, and I don't care what you talking about, and I won't be able to convince him of anything. There'll be another 19-year-old that I'm gonna tell him, man, you should just have your kid tested. He gonna say, you know what, you right. You know what I'm saying? And he gonna go home. He gonna tell his girl, hey man, I'm finna get my kid tested. And she gonna be like, well, why would you do that? Because the OG talked to me. You know what I'm saying? I like the position he took. And I think as a man, I need to do this for myself. It needs to be done for my child. And if you really with me, like you say you with me, you ain't gonna have an issue with it. But see, yeah, it's gonna be a hard thing to call women out and to actually make them stand by the fact that they loyal to you. That's gonna be an issue. I think the best way to keep that issue from getting too out of pocket is to tell them before all this stuff would even come up, so they get used to it. And what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? Some sisters gonna say, "Well, I don't want to date these men because now y'all coming up with all this extra stuff." Did you really want that woman anyway? And is it good that she not finna be in your life that way? Because I think it is. Because one of the worst things you can go through is a divorce, and that's real talk. That is one of the worst things you can go through.
But even if she don't want to date them men, it don't matter what man she date if he in America, because it's mandatory paternity test. She could date Brad. She gonna have to have a paternity test. She date the Chinese food worker. It's gonna have to happen. So, like I said, like sometimes we ask for God to give us blessings, and He not gonna give it to you exactly how you want it. You gotta learn to read the lines from the divine when they present it.
I do get that point, but this is the issue with paternity tests. They're going to test the man that she says needs to be tested. It's not going to necessarily be the man that had sex with her. It ain't going to be necessarily be the man whose baby it is. It's going to be the man that she says should be tested.
And then when it comes out that he's not the father, then that's what I'm saying. Then what happens? So you're saying basically all of that. So what you said about Maury show, then you can't even trust that.
Yeah, what I'm saying to you is she's gonna get pregnant by somebody. Then she's gonna tell the government that this guy got me pregnant, who may or may not have had anything to do with her at all. And the government's gonna say, okay, we're going to test the guy. He's gonna submit to the test, and because they need to keep it at 95%, nigga, this your baby. Because we only gonna pay for 5% of these kids.
And remember this, Shark Sims, remember this. A couple states already been trying to float around, trying to get dudes to pay child support as soon as insemination happens. Don't forget that. They're already trying to lock you in without proof.
Yeah.
Already. So that's why I'm like, dude, we already see what they're doing. That's extreme. You don't even know how many nuts been in her. And you're just going to assume like, oh, just that man did it. Like, nah.
But you do know they have technology where they could take a DNA test while the baby is forming.
Okay, well, this is my thing. The government does things by numbers. When they say the number is 95%, then that's what the number is. Don't make no difference who got brought in and take no test. If the number is 95%, then that's the number. And maybe people don't get that, but that's the reality. Talk to anybody who ever worked for the government in any capacity. When they pick a number, that's the number. Once they say 95%, it don't make no difference who the baby daddy is. If we about to dip to 94, nigga, this your baby now.
Roger, Roger, I know the government does a lot of dirty, low down, dirty stuff, man. If they were to pull something off like that on a national level, man, that's why I'm saying it wouldn't even happen. I'm just arguing for the sake of arguing, I guess, at this point. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, somebody's gonna uncover that mess, and it's gonna be pandemonium, man.
When did the government pick a number and not do the number they picked?
I'm just saying, brother, that's a hell of a feat, man, and they got to do it with a whole bunch of this so-called science, because I mean we do go by DNA. So, you know what I'm saying? They're going to have to fudge a whole bunch of stuff. And somebody's gonna uncover that, man. So again, I don't think it'll ever happen.
Jado,
You know what I'm saying? And again, this
Jado,
ain't
just think
nobody. I'm
about
not somebody like, yeah, a government should be running all of that. I'm not saying that at all. Definitely not.
Jado, just think about the fact that Tuskegee experiment. The people was calling out what was going on with the Tuskegee experiment. They were saying,
That's
"You're
a,
crazy. That
that's a
didn't happen.
that's
None of
a
that
low
ever
that's
happened."
a
And
more
then later
smaller
on,
localized. That's a smaller localized example. But I see. I understand it definitely. I definitely understand it. That's a very small localized example.
All
but I
I'm
mean,
saying,
like if you look at the black neighborhood, these are all small localized examples of what they've been doing
Yeah,
all over the country. That's what
okay,
I'm
yeah,
well,
and
saying. So
that's
that
I'm
and
makes
not.
that's
it a
and
Yeah,
that's
I'm
big
not.
and listen,
localized
that's the
thing.
most
I'm
vulnerable
not
too. The
arguing on
small,
the morality of the government. I'm definitely
okay.
not.
This
but they're very vulnerable for something like that to happen in small towns.
what?
That are
Well, let me throw
populated
this
by
out there
black
too.
folks.
Let me throw this out there too, y'all. All you got to do is get people to quote unquote fudge the results, right? How do you get people to fudge the results that work for a particular company? What's the easiest way to get people to fudge the result? Guess what?
Money, right?
If you don't fudge the results, then you just don't work here anymore. The average person with a job the average person with a job cannot afford to stop. That's reality, y'all. The average person with a job, whatever job they got right now, they can't afford to stop working. So guess what they're gonna do? Whatever it takes for them to keep their job. It's not that hard.
On a national level, though, Rob, I'm just saying. I mean, I get what you guys are saying, man. But I'm talking about on a national level. That's a hell of a feat, man.
Bro, I'm not even telling you the information wouldn't get out. I don't think it's gonna matter. It's men right now paying for kids that they know they ain't theirs. It ain't seemed to
Exactly.
matter yet.
Yes.
So if the government is doing that and they say 95%, it's gonna stay at 95%. And everybody who work at a lab, everybody who work at whatever agency between the lab and the government, at the end of the day, when they come back with their numbers, it's gonna be 95% because the government say so. And only the people who can
And
afford to
then
lose their job is gonna have an issue with that 95%.
and then they say the worst thing that the government could say is like, "I'm here to help." Like, isn't this them saying like, "I'm here to help" right now? Like if they bring out the DNA, or "We're here to help you." Like, I don't believe you. That's the worst idea out there. I don't want your help. I don't want your help. Every time you guys help us, it get worse, or somehow we end up getting crack
Man,
babies out of it. I
no,
don't know.
we're in a society where we have a government right now. So if we feel like this, then yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go there. Let me back off.
Hey man, I'm gonna just say we at the 3 hour mark, y'all. So shout out to Zeta Zentendo. He said, like Roger said, nothing personal. It's just business. And yeah, I think that's all it is. And I understand where our country is. Across the country, the average person can't afford to stop working. They just can't. That's just the position we in. The average person, if they ask to do something they consider unsavory, they're gonna do it because they need that paycheck. It just is what it is, y'all. I'm just trying to keep it real as best I can. Most of us can't stop. You really can't afford a week off with no pay. Now, I'm not saying that to insult people. I'm just saying it because it's real. How many of us can afford to stop working for the matter of fact, it's first day of July, right? How many of us could afford not to go to work for July? Now, you can go right back to work come August. But you're gonna stop working in July with no pay at all. How many of us can afford? How many of us won't even make it to the end of July, and we ain't getting a check at all? Just no paychecks for July. Ain't no back pay when you go back to work in August. You're gonna start over from scratch, man. Most folks is done. So telling me that the government can't get somebody to fudge anything, I just don't see that as a real issue at all on the government's behalf.
Hey, no, Roger, I definitely don't want to make it seem like I'm making an argument that they won't do that. But I'm just saying, like, for that to happen on a national scale, that would be a big thing. And it's going to be a big reset, man. You're going to have somebody's going to discover this. You're not going to have this stuff. Again, it's easier to get away with this stuff on a much smaller scale. But if you're doing this on a national scale, man, and people find out. And I know I think you were saying like white guys, man, those guys are more skeptical about the government than the average black person is, to be honest with you. So again, it's going to be uncovered. There's going to be some stuff. Again, I don't even think this
J-Dub,
will ever
you're
happen.
forgetting that now you think their hubris won't think that they can't their hubris will put them in position to think they will never get caught in the first place. And a lot of them think they will never get caught.
Well, hold fast, y'all. This is how you do a good show. I know there's a lot more to be said in this subject, but we are past the 3-hour mark, so we ain't gonna say it on air. We might talk in the back, but we ain't gonna say it on air. You got to leave people want more. You got to leave the people want more. Y'all bringing up some very good points. We not, as a country, we're not even sure we've been to the moon, y'all. We not even sure. I'm just saying the government would do all kinds of stuff on a national level if they want to. And unfortunately, we do live in a world where the government can be reported on and people just ignore the news that got reported. Unfortunately, that's a real thing in this country. We will simply ignore the news. So I'm going to say shout out to my main man, Kevin 3905. He sent the $5 cash app. He says, excellent show, brother. Thank you very much, man. I do my best, man. I do my best. So yeah, if y'all are new here, make sure y'all like the video, subscribe to the channel. We do these shows Monday through Fridays. Be here or be square. I mean, what is it? Be there or be square is what they used to say. So come tomorrow. We'll be right back on with another great topic, another interesting conversation. I'm gonna say I do understand every man who thinks that fighting for it to be a government mandate is a good idea. I get the position you're coming from, but because we're talking about the U.S. government, I'm like Superman on this one. I can't trust God, but I can't trust the people of Earth. Well, I can't trust black women, nor can I trust the government. It just is what it is, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.